Howdy, folks, and welcome to Adventures in Alberon, our 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons game that I am not really prepared for, apparently. Let me bring up some music that makes sense for us. This is our 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons campaign that we've been running for about 2 years. I'm Joe Treff, your Dungeon Master for the evening, and joining me are Matt, Miles, Allie, and Tina. Everybody wave. A couple of quick things before we get into this game. On our website, alberonrpg.com, I've been working on the Dungeoneer's Guide to Dominion. That has been updated now, so it is all the way through Chapter 1. It has the complete Warlock Pact list, which is, well, not complete. I actually left out Uriel and a couple of things that are like central to the plot of our campaign. But if you did want to run a Warlock in Alberon, there are patrons listed for each pact, because when I tried to put together Heinrich's character, trying to figure out how patrons worked was actually really difficult. And if you Google what are patrons, that would be for whatever pact, there's not a lot of concrete resources. So there are a few patrons listed with some of their interests and their domains and the way that they work. So go check that out, alberonrpg.com under lore. Excuse me. We also had up this week, we had a lot of stuff posted on Instagram this week. One of the things is the art from Shae. I think that's how you pronounce it. Sorry. It is of a character from the Circle of Ilmarsh, which is the Druidic order that had been a little bit in 1000 Gates. When they were described to you guys, it was very briefly this one halfling surrounded by bears. His name was Godunkus Aloysius. He's art now art for the book, but he is posted up on Instagram. Also, we got in the mail today, or not today, this week, the new Gunter and the new Heinrich miniatures from Hero Forge Minis. Gunter's just a little bit late. They're super cool. Yeah, I know. Super cool. The color print option is really neat, and it has a lot of effects. Those are up on Instagram. And then there is some more character art on the way. First of all, the Gunter backstory character art depicting Gunter as now we know the Gazelle, and a much younger Gunter back in his heyday, which is going to be really cool. So that's going to come out, a little bit of a memorial now. But, it's fun. And then also for Akka, there is some character art coming from Erica Volova, who did all of the character art for all of our characters initially. So it'll match, and it looks, we've already seen the draft of it. It looks super cool. So that's coming soon. And then finally, for the music that you hear in the background and the various elements of sound, we use Sirenscape, which is a digital tool set for dungeon masters or, theme party planners who want to have all kinds of sound effects. It can do a variety of things, everything from music to goblin shrieks. So check that out. It is Sirenscape. And that is all the announcements we have for this evening. So with that, let me bring you into our recap. Finger Gang. Last time that we played, we began with several of you out on the streets of 1000 Gates, this large city of castles and strongholds that had risen up around a military outpost. You saw Gunter's headless corpse, lifted by a massive automaton, similar to others actually that you'd seen in the past, with fiery eyes. And Morwen, you follow this figure, convinced that Gunter was still alive, the lifeless corpse's legs dangling and swinging with each giant step. You followed it till it stalked its way back to the dungeons beneath the Black Keep. There, you successfully used the Swashbuckler's panache feature, but managed to roleplay yourself out of a successful check, which first time in the campaign, that was pretty good. You revealed that the money that you would bribe the guard with was in fact already in the guard's possession, encouraging him to just go and take it for himself. However, you did manage, with a combination of intimidation and just the nature and casual way in which you speak about desecrating corpses, but you managed to obtain a finger from your friend Gunter. The three of you met outside the limits of town, where Morwen, you continued to question why the group was turning their back on your friend, who you were still convinced was just right around the corner from waking up. You made camp in the woods, a sad Morwen still unable to accept the death of her friend. Heinrich, you stayed awake, carefully, meticulously tending to the fire. Pretty much anything to keep your mind busy. As the group broke camp and headed even further away, past the gibbering Holt on your way to Pendleton en route to points north, you heard chanting. It was there, amidst the alder trees of the Holt, that you came across a cultist and some hired guards attempting to summon a creature from the Four Realms, as well as the artificer known as Akka, the elf from Dungannon, perhaps, there to take a wand that was being used in the ritual. Akka, you attempted to flee as well after witnessing Shae, Morwen, and Heinrich brutalizing this group of, essentially, as you kind of drawn a conclusion, like hired peasants, guarding something far beyond the realm of which they understood. Uh, you attempted to flee, but angry Heinrich had a glow in a halo of almost celestial runes, uh, spoke directly into your mind, messaging that you shouldn't run. You learned a little bit about the group's intentions and learned about the connection that they had to the Tri-Wards. And hearing this, something intrinsically important to the order in which you found some measure of belonging, you decided, for a price that was negotiated in kind of a strange way, to join the group on a provisional basis. You sent your homunculus, this little origami bird, with a message to those that you answer to. As a group, you decided, with input from Akka, to make the day-long trek due east to the walled city of Nocturne, in the hopes of either reuniting with the Cat's Claw crew or perhaps finding somebody to utilize the Dungannon Antiquities Collective Safe House teleporter. And that's where we're going to begin. Let me just change the music real quick. Alrighty. Let me turn this down just a little bit. That's a loud river. Okay. Man, right before we started, I just swallowed coffee the wrong way, and it has not stopped bothering me. So apologies for that. Alrighty. So, as you walk through the trees, which grow thicker and begin to transition from alder to ash, you can see many, many slivers of yellow from the near dead leaves that stick out through the bits of snow. It's still not very thick. This is nothing like the north. And for you guys, actually, pretty warm, despite the fact that the snow still sticks. But it is heavy and wet. This, you can see, even as it kind of begins to coat, it is melting. The ground is very mushy, cold. Progress not super quick. You come upon a place after about 5 minutes of walking where the water begins to grow a little bit deeper in that creek that's run alongside the Holt between you, pardon me, between you and the pathway. There's a very simple bridge of laid stone, maybe 20 feet across, very wide, clearly meant for carts to be able to pass to a side. Um, you begin to smell the sudden hints of a very sinister, for the first time, lilac, which Akka kind of warned you was this sort of field of willow trees that had this very, what's the word? This pollen that seemed to cause very, very painful and itchy rashes. Um, that hint of the smell that you'd be familiar with, Akka, is in the air. Ahead of you, you can see some of these trees. They're tall, almost like a pale white bark, and there's a strange kind of modeling to the bark itself. It looks almost spotted, but not like polka dots. This is closer to like liver spots. The leaves are still like a dark, dark green underneath these little bits of snow, and you can see these very delicate kind of flowers, which you would imagine are the source of the smell. Luckily, because it is raining and it slurrying, it is what we call in New England call a wintry mix, but it is kind of like this kind of freezing rain. That pollen that normally kind of hangs in the air is fairly suppressed. It's kind of being pushed into the ground. The little bits of snow that do coat the floor have like a vague pink tinge to them. You'd imagine you don't really want to touch that too much, but that is what is ahead of you. What would you guys like to do?
So, how long is this trip to Nocturne?
About a day.
Yeah, a little less from where you guys are.
All right. I'm just gonna like pull out a ration and eat it absent-mindedly and just keep walking.
Sure. As you begin to munch.
I'll grab one for Morwen as well. Sorry, it's not pocket bacon.
That's all right.
Yeah.
I've got the good stuff in my bag.
Okay.
Of course. So you have a little bit of food, sustain yourself along the way. If you're going to continue, I know that we have Akka in the lead, but what is your marching order?
I'm gonna give myself space
Class
between
leader.
me and him, just because of the wrong foot that we got off on,
Okay.
and I feel like he doesn't.
Oh.
Not necessarily like afraid of, but just like my motives aren't clear to him, and I don't know where my headspace is at either. So just like respectful distance.
Are you going to be right
Sure.
behind him, though? I'll be in the middle. I don't
I
really
think
care.
I would be behind him,
Okay.
probably.
So Akka, Shae,
I'll walk with Morwen
Morwen.
then. Morwen and I are walking side by side because I just gave her some food.
Fair enough. So you guys eating kind of on the back, then Shae, then Akka in the front. Akka, as you guide the group, is there anything that you guys wish to do to prepare to begin to push into this poisoned willow field?
Make sure none of my skin is exposed, that's for sure, but I don't think any of it is.
Yeah, same.
Except for my
Tuck
face.
the pants in the boots kind of situation.
Your face certainly exposed. But you guys all have winter gear. You can kind of pull on gloves and do most of that. But
I'll like do my cloak up the way that I would to prepare myself for traveling through this.
okay. So take a little bit of time, and you see Akka take the cloak and kind of pull it up and around and form a very, very close-fitting kind of mask. You can see just the eyes through.
Seeing that, I'll copy him as best as I can.
Okay.
I don't think I have anything to copy him.
It's a little tougher for you,
Yeah.
Heinrich, because
There it
you're
is.
taller, and also you wear kind of like a half cape.
Yeah.
So it
Well, it's
ends
less
up
that
kind of.
I'll pull something here. I'm sure I have. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna use the cloak of Vera Waith to wrap around my head because it's
So
like it's
you-
been in my bag this whole time, and I'm like, I never use this for anything. Oh, whatever. Just kind of like up and around the antlers and
Oh,
down and over.
I'll
Is
wear
that
my
from the Vera
mask,
Wang
the mask
collection?
I made.
Jesus Christ. Okay. So you can see Heinrich takes out, it is this pale, almost
Is it, like,
lustrous.
greenish almost?
It's like a seafoam green.
Okay. Really
and
complements all the other colors I'm wearing in my paisley red and blue backpack.
it's a confusing assortment that you have, and you're definitely not blending into anywhere.
No,
But maybe
somewhere
like
I'm a fashion icon.
in like a TJ Maxx like clothing pile, you could just jump in and blend in very well. That's
Yeah.
that's your favorite terrain. But other than that, yeah, mishmash of colors. Morwen, you take out what is essentially, I believe, a paper bag. Pull it
it's
on your
leather.
Wax and proof.
Yeah.
right. It's a leather. Oh, right. It was the leather waxed bag that had kind of wax to waterproof it. So Morwen pulls it over her face. You see the kind of eye holes cut out a little bit too big, so the eyes are almost in like space, so even larger. And it's sinister looking, very Leatherface. Shae, is there anything that you wish to do?
Yeah, I think I'd use one of the
Sorry.
more sleeved shirts that I wouldn't have been wearing at this point. Kind of wrap up around Mimic.
Sure. So no problem. You take out some of the other elements as in the garb that you have, very orange, but at least mostly a matching color, unlike Heinrich. As a group, you begin to push through this field. Akka, you are leading the group, so please roll a d20 for me.
Okay. That is a 15.
15. All right.
Oh, wait. Is this a perception check that relies
Nope.
on sight?
This is just a flat d20 roll. You're rolling on the travel table. So
Okay.
15, you said?
Yes.
Okay. So you guys begin to progress through these trees, and as you look, you can see the drooping branches form almost natural pathways close to the trunks of the trees where there is this kind of space. It forms these kind of curving corridors, and as you get underneath, it is a little bit drier. And you can see the way that the water is kind of melting and dripping down and freezing. It is almost like a very fragile igloo that has formed and kind of become this curved pink and white icy sort of barrier between you and elements of the outside. For the moment, because of this moisture and everything that's happening, there's not a great amount of pollen in the air, but there is still some. You can still smell through the elements of clothing that faint lilac odor. I would say with that, could I have everybody please make a dexterity saving throw at advantage?
Oh, thank goodness. 18.
Okay.
21.
30-20 for me.
Ooh.
29.
Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Having a
Well
nice dex
done.
character is...
It's nice, isn't it?
yeah.
So you guys make your way through, Akka leading the way. These are not like static patterns. So, and actually, you've never been through in weather quite like this, where it's kind of frozen over and making these little like igloo tunnels. But it actually makes things easier. Whereas before, you've had to really be mindful of not touching the trees because they would burst bits of pollen out. The frozen nature of the bark and the leaves means it's really easy. I mean, you just have to make sure that you don't slam into something. And as you look behind you, you have Morwen. You jump a little bit because you're still not really familiar with this figure, but now they're wearing this like waxy, almost looks like skin over their face. But you see, everybody else kind of has copied you in certain ways. But it's a fairly easy moving party, and you make very, very quick progress through this place. You imagine, Akka, that you gain another 2 hours on your journey, being able to progress in such a way. In fact, go ahead and make a perception check.
Okay. Is this one a perception check relying on sight?
It is.
Great. That is a 25.
Okay.
It's great when both eyes look in the same direction.
Ah, that's another good thing.
You walk for a little bit, mindful not to touch anything, but Akka, there's a period where you see something that is a little bit out of place. You've been seeing the pinks and dull purples and greens and a lot of white and the pale bark on the trees. But all of a sudden, you see something that is a different shade of tan and a different texture, frozen into the ground. You can see like clumped up in ice, a little bit of this dead grass tangled around the bottom, a leather satchel. More pressingly, as you kind of get a little bit closer, there is, and very dull because of both the way that you have your face kind of covered up and because of this kind of lilac smell and because of the frozen nature of this, you get a very distinct fecal kind of waft, and you realize that this bag looks as if it's been passed through something, something large. And looking at the snow that has settled down, you can see this. Yeah, this is a fairly large creature has passed through here, literally and figuratively.
What sort of creatures do I know that may have come through this area?
Make a nature check.
that could have pooped this poop.
Also, do we all smell it?
I would say that
Do you have keen sense?
Heinrich,
I
you
would-
certainly don't, but
I'd probably
Morwen
like put a
and,
hand up and stop everyone having noticed this.
But Morwen and Shae, after a little bit, yes, you certainly would get little bits of it with your passive perceptions of 17 and 20.
Heinrich.
This is a situation where having low perception would have been good.
Yeah. I'm just
It's
kind of
like,
like taking in the
stuffy
beauty of the
nose.
nature.
Ah.
I'm just looking around like, wow, it's really pretty here.
Heinrich, did you have to? Jeez.
Like,
Did you Did you?
that was a dirty 20 on the nature check.
Okay. There are very few creatures that live here. The nature of these trees and this kind of pollen,
Right.
it makes it difficult. There are a handful of insects that have kind of adapted to this, but things that don't have chitinous armor or an exoskeleton tend not to do so well. There's a handful of exceptions. And the one that immediately comes to mind, given the sight and the kind of scale of it,
Like human remains with the bag and the poopies.
would you like to dig through and make an
I don't want to
investigation
dig
check?
through it. No,
Because that's
Not
an
yet.
investigation check. But okay, so
not yet.
you look at this and you can see, based on the size of it, the only thing that comes to mind very quickly is something called a fen stalker. These are large, sort of elemental creatures fused with beasts that at one time, before this became the kind of poisoned area that it is, to form this very aggressive predator that's able to grasp with these long vine-like tentacles and pull things in and eat them. They eat humanoid creatures. They're certainly large enough. They're very uncommon.
Okay. I would alert the people around, like, don't want to alarm anyone.
Did you do it?
No, I think it was a fen stalker,
What's that?
which is bad.
Should we try to move quietly or
Yeah, I think we just need
Quickly.
to both.
okay? Still haven't figured out how to do that, but I'll try.
I don't know how to respond to that. We should go.
Yes.
Ooh. I'm gonna start going, but quietly and on my guard for any other signs of this potential creature.
Alrighty. So you begin to walk away.
Can I see a gap in the canopy to send a nod for a sweep? Or is
Yeah,
it too
you certainly
close
can.
together?
It's not an easy thing. Like the canopy is very dense to begin with, and with the ice and snow building up, it really is like an igloo that has just like cracks and elements that you can see skylight through. Thinking about the find familiar spell, you can make them appear at a point within a certain range, correct?
Yeah, but it's usually pretty close. Let me just double check.
Because
I'm assuming the trees are pretty, not like super high up ahead, but
the canopy above you rises maybe like 11 feet. It's not crazy high.
So I can pick 30 feet and that would be above the trees.
Certainly could.
That's 30 feet
And
then.
you can see enough gaps that you could certainly do it as well. So
Okay.
no problem. You can just kind of just have nod
Just
appear
have her
above.
already flying in the air, basically.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
And yeah, hang on a sec. Let me just get a look and see if I can pick out any disturbances in the woods. And I'll just do that and eyes into her eyes.
Sure, make a perception check using Nod's perception.
Hooray. Crap.
So
Oh,
just
thank
some more
goodness for
static
advantage on
music
these.
here.
That is a dirty 20, I think. That's
30, 20. Okay.
Yeah, it was a 1 and then the 17.
Ooh,
Even though
okay.
with a 1 on perception.
Oh wait, I'm sorry, 21. Yeah,
You don't
21.
see.
21.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was
Okay.
using mine, which hers is a little better, not much, but she's got advantage, so that's good.
Yes. So you see Nod just kind of take off, and as you close your eyes, there's almost a sense of vertigo because you see Nod looking down at you right as you close your eyes, looking up at her. But as your sight pulls away over this, it's beautiful. It's right about 1 in the afternoon, and through the elements of clouds, it casts almost this kind of glow across these frozen willow trees that are kind of almost like frozen hills that just roam, and you can see that they expand out for quite a ways. Um, but as you fly around, you can see a few things. You can see there are signs of life here and there. You'll see elements of the snow that might crack and then fall, almost as if there's like a miniature avalanche, as if maybe somebody hit or struck one of the trees on the way by. You don't see immediately any creatures that cause that. You see for a second this flash of like purple, bright purple. And as Nod swoops a little bit around and tries to catch sight with that perception check, you see about 3 feet tall, this purple toad-like creature, but standing on 2 legs. At the moment, they're kind of crouched down. You can see like a very, very primitive-looking spear across the back. But for a moment, you see the eyes look up, these big, dark frog-like eyes, before they close, and you see the creature lurch to the side and disappear. You see
Literally, or just out of view?
out of view, like into the kind of thing. They're not invisible. You like actually,
Or
given the
teleporting.
given the bright purple nature of the skin, it's bright purple with like spots of black that kind of begin on the shoulders and the back, and the front is very just bright. You can see going through the snow here and there, just like little bits of purple running through the ice. But you can't make direct visual contact at this moment unless you wish to pursue this creature.
More anything heading towards us? Are there any signs of tracks or disturbances in the ice on the trees towards or away from where we are and this poop bag?
Yeah. So you see a couple other things. You see that purple flash kind of zoom away to the east. But then you see another little purple color, a little bit different, a little darker. And as Nod flies a little closer and down, you can see kind of up against one of the tree trunks through a little gap, a similar creature. This one's certainly dead. You can see elements of it almost kind of beginning to fall off the bone. There is, even from this height, from Nod's nostrils, you can smell just this foul smell. And you're glad that you didn't. It's bad enough that it may have had physical effects on you. So you find yourself thankful that you did not travel in that direction. And finally, it was a 21.
Mm-hmm.
You really don't see much else. You take Nod, you take this large pass, and there's miles to go before you sleep, as the saying goes. This is a long, long expanse. And so you could continue to go further if you wish. But in a quick sweep, it's kind of all Nod sees. It's not going to come back.
Yeah, come back and then just sort of like, whoop,
Okay.
right
So
before.
Nod turns, and as Nod turns, sure. As Nod turns and begins to pass over the section that had that kind of deceased looking body that smelled so bad, Nod is aware of the fact that coming from the north, as she passes over top, almost like directly underneath, but by a good like 90 feet, give or take, the over top part just cracks a little bit, and you can see elements of snow slide and fall off and hit the ground. And as it does, you see this large, dark green and brown shape slither through. It's a strange sensation or strange kind of movement. And the next tree, elements of snow slide down.
Is this
And
tree
as
stuff?
not really, I mean, vaguely, but it's really heading more west, whereas you guys are to the south of it.
Okay.
It's heading in a way that you're not just going to intersect unless you go out of your way to do so.
Cool.
But you can see this large creature, close to 15 feet tall, though hunched down in the way that it moves. The arms sort of, you can see elements that at one point may have had this dark fur, but it's matted to the body. And you can see these long purple and green vines wrapped around. You see elements of the same ivy that wraps around and forms or not ivy, the same willow kind of petals and flowers and things that adorn it. It's large, and you can see the entire hand with these long, three long fingers wrap around this body, and you recognize it now as a grung. Um, wrap all the way around it before it snatches it up, and you can hear from within. And I would say, actually, all of you back behind Heinrich, who kind of stiffens, and he stiffens before you hear it. Just the way sound works. You just hear this loud and just bites the entire thing in half. Now it continues to fly. You can turn around to observe it more, but it seems to be eating.
No. Return now. Good time to make progress while it's busy, anyways.
Sure. Nod kind of dives and suddenly out of existence before hitting the dome.
And I will relay all that information. And I suggest that we would probably, quietly and quickly get away from it. Put as much distance between us as possible right now while it's busy.
Using that information, I'm going to try and figure out the best way to get to Nocturne without interacting with the creature that is potentially going to try and hurt us.
A shorter way of saying that is I'll walk in a different direction. So easy enough. Knowing from Heinrich's report that it's heading kind of in a east-southeast direction, you wrap far around to the, west-southwest direction. You head north and a little bit to the east and kind of try to bubble around that area. With the way that this place is set up, with the frozen nature of these branches, it's actually fairly easygoing. You don't add that much time onto your travel. You continue to walk, and the minutes, which begin as kind of tense, bleed into 10 minutes and then 20. You don't hear another large roar. You don't hear the sound of splintering wood and snow. And you begin to feel a little bit safer. And Akka, as you plot this course through, another 4 or 5 hours go by pretty much without issue. And right around 5, 6 o'clock, the clouds growing darker for the sun that's setting behind them, you come to a point where all of a sudden there is no longer this frozen dome. There are not enough branches to create that space. You come to a point that's a little bit more clear. Slowly, the forest transitions out. And right around 6 o'clock, when it really truly begins to get dark, I would say, Shae, unless you're putting the mask on, it would be pretty tough to see for you. You come to a point where the forest truly does end. There are no more willows around you. It is, again, a little bit more familiar to you, Heinrich. These much deader here cypress trees and things that grow up closer to Port Quinn. You are vaguely heading in that direction. But passing through a little bit of that, and even now, although it is still another 2 miles away, you can see elements of buildings kind of poking through. There is this weird looking amalgamation of metal and stone that form outer walls, perhaps. Akka, to you, you can see the elements of Nocturne that would create part of the one sec here. Part of the Temple of Mirthful Masters, the sort of upper section of the western part of the city. Maybe about 2 hours off. It is starting to get dark. And because of your guys' weird sleep schedule, you have another 3 hours until you start looking at exhaustion. But what would you like to do?
All right, we're almost there.
Okay.
Talkative group.
You know,
I don't.
we're almost there. So let's get there. And do you know the city well enough where we might find a place to rest?
Yeah, I can get us around.
All right.
So
Why don't we push
what are
on
you
to
looking
that?
for? What you just need a place to stay, or are we just going straight to the teleporter? You need to get some funds. What are we talking about here?
I think a place to stay.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot about Nocturne. I think I want to check it out.
All right, what tier are we talking here?
What
I'm
are
good
our
with whatever.
options?
I mean, there's the shithole areas and
No.
there's the not so shithole areas.
Yes.
But it's small scale. So
Like anywhere I'm not gonna get a knife in my back while we're just sitting in a room.
good luck. That's a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy.
So Akka, you would actually know from where you are, there are two entrances that are relatively close. The first would bring you in through an area that is connected to the Modrock, but is sort of just neutral territory. There's a lot of within a fairly poor city. It's not that poor, but there are elements that are certainly pretty roughly kept. That's an area that is a little bit more on the slummy side. But it's neutral territory. You can enter there pretty much without issue, um, depending on how garrisoned the city is at the moment. And then the
Okay.
other area that you could enter in through is the thin kind of entryway that would bring you into the quarter of law, the kind of government center of Nocturne, such that it is.
Okay. Probably go to the neutral territory.
Okay, no problem.
I personally would not want to go towards the more policed area.
Okay, so you're heading in the direction of home.
Yes.
Okay. You guys walk for the next maybe 45 minutes. It doesn't take too long. The forest now left behind you, there is cleared out kind of forests and trees. You can see now Nocturne fully coming into view. It's a small footprint. This entire thing would fit within Port Quinn without an issue. However, vertically, there are areas that are 12, 13 stories high on the outer walls. It is a massively vertical structure, and you can see hundreds of windows, not necessarily with glass, some of them certainly, facing outwards. And there is just an entire scene spread before you. You can see people up in these kind of candlelit windows doing laundry. There are families eating. You can see little shops, little maybe what look like an inn or something of the sort, kind of just knotted throughout. And it is as if you are looking across this entire section that has been cut away from a city and is now just laid out before you. You follow Akka, and probably by about 7 o'clock, Akka, you lead them into the sort of area where the walls loom large in front of you. There are windows everywhere, and you can see through them. There is the sense of privacy within Nocturne, ironically, doesn't really exist. Through one window, you can see a window into the next place, which goes into the next. And there is almost this dizzying feeling because in some places, if you just shift your head one way, suddenly an entire corridor seems to open up of sightlines where you can see through apartments and small gaps that form vertical walkways and various things. It is this complex, laid out city that is almost a hive of humanity and various variations thereof. But
Kind of the opposite of Thousand Gates.
yes, this is
Very
quite
unprotected
different.
seeming.
In ways, I
Vertical and
mean,
lots of windows.
it's vertical, but this is entirely iron and stone that makes up the outside. It is, should you be able to shutter the windows, this entire thing becomes a fortress.
Okay.
It's open and alive at the moment. And actually, to your point, it's almost as if it's designed to repel some kind of attacker, probably not human. Because as you said, you could probably open the windows, you could go through, maybe something a little bit lower to the ground. But Gunter, jeez.
I'm back.
Oh no. As you enter, you walk through these sort of very, very, so the floor in this place is almost like corrugated iron. And you can see there are elements of it that kind of rust or have been worn away and patched over with wood. There are places where you can see like actual stone has been brought in and laid in slabs to create pathways. Let me master this music to the right level here. but before too long, kind of going through, you can see there are people, and it's fairly crowded. Even at this time of night, this is a city that is never truly asleep. And so you are now, as you immediately as you enter, pushing through people. This is not like Colteram where people are just kind of patting you on the back. This is not like Pendleton where all of a sudden these people entering draw a number of stairs. Within Sarentil, this is probably the most diverse place, as it's not truly Sarentilian owned. Yeah.
I would just like to say I'm taking the bag off my head before entering.
Yeah, I was gonna
Okay.
say I'm gonna unwrap my head too.
Yeah.
Sure, we'll
I'm
say
gonna dress-
before
I'm
you
gonna be a
entered
little bit
here.
more
Yeah.
presentable and not, looking like
Hello, I'm here to be your new neighborhood serial killer.
pretty much. Just like, who's there to murder? I'm here.
Murder's fun.
It's a big city.
I think I would head towards the Tipsy Tavern.
Tipsy Tavern in the
In
Temple
the
of
temple.
Full Masters. Okay.
Yeah, because that's pretty close to the entrance that we're coming from, right?
It's
I guess
quite a ways up
Would be-
vertically.
yeah,
If the
actually.
if you're going for like a close bar, it would be in the Madrak. You could probably go to either. It is not at rush hour at the moment, so Rikaka, if you wanted to, or they're probably like halfway through the card in the Arena of Glory. You could go to the Tail Risk Tavern. A little bit further, you could go to that you would know.
Mhm.
The Baron's Errand, or where's the other one? The Whisper Factory. Those are kind of the closest ones to you.
So I have a question about this because,
Sure.
Gunter and I spent a lot of time together, talked a lot. Nocturne was talked a lot. Is there a specific place I might remember Gunter mentioning?
Make an intelligence check.
Ah, darn, I'm dumb. Okay. An 8.
No, not in
Oh,
particular.
There's
Very
you know.
nice.
gambling.
There's gambling for sure. Yeah. If you're looking for like places to gamble, you know that Gunter talked about them. They exist for sure. But with that rule, not a lot
I
else
don't
comes to
remember
mind.
specific names. Okay.
Not specific names or even districts. No.
I would know, right?
I sent you the guide to the stuff that
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
haven't really about some of the bad stuff. Aka hasn't really delved into gambling necessarily, and so there isn't a ton of
Yeah.
that on your menu, but there's a few things. So you continue and progress through these hallways, going past people. You can see there are kids here and there. It is a crowded place. To all of you except for Aka, the smells begin to transition. Where you're kind of smelling metal and elements of kind of just humanity close together, you can smell little bits of cooking and things like that. It begins to shift, and it starts pretty abruptly because you hear these loud, almost animal-like sounds. But you round a corner, and suddenly the sense of being closed in opens because this section, which you know as the Madrak Aka, is in Discord. Can you change your nickname, Matt? That's throwing me off. That throws me
You
off.
keep looking over. It's good
Yeah.
guy Gunty.
Yeah.
Nope, no longer.
Not anymore. So, Aka, this is the Madrak. This is home. This is the district that was kind of set aside for the Goliaths after they were brought into the light of the Church of Six during the Somber Crusade. It is carved out, so many of the floors and walls have been removed to create large vertical spaces, so it does almost have a feeling of being outdoors, were it not for the ceilings above. Here and there are apartments and things that rise vertically up, and you can see almost every building has these little wrought iron sort of porches or patios where there are people kind of hanging out. You can see there are walking around on leashes or with like things that would indicate that they are in fact tame. There are owl bears that you can see, some lavishly dressed, kind of led on these big, almost choker leashes. You smell now, instead of that kind of smell of humanity pushed close together, you smell the smell of roasting meats and garlic and some kind of dark sauce like soy. It's a very alive place. And Heinrich, for you, there are elements of it that remind you of the docks. You can see kids playing. Although these kids, roughly 1 in 2 of the humanoids here are Goliath. So even the kids, for Morwen and Shae, right around your height, if not a little bit taller, you feel small in the crowd here. But to that point, you see tieflings, you see humans, you see elves. This is a very diverse place. Let me just pull up my Mondrag notes
For
here.
what it's worth, during this whole walk too, I am going to be I mean, like, peeping around, obviously, but
Make a
if
perception
we
check.
pass Morwen's miscellaneous, I'd like to notice that.
Make a perception check.
I'd hope I'd notice the store.
As you walk through, though, there's
Natural
voices
20.
every. Okay, hang on. We'll get back to that in a second.
Where's
Heinrich, for you, there are things that are so familiar because you hear voices all across that are questioning, challenging, joyful. You hear people yelling at each other. This is a very alive place. It smells of a place that is really alive and an actual community. It is close together, and there are elements when the food wafts away. It does smell of kind of, barnyard. There are quite a few animals that you see wandering here and there. Aside from the owl bears, you see actual bears that are kind of being led along. You see an area where some of the kids run away laughing, and this large, and when I say large, I mean maybe 10-foot long crocodile is being led through on a long leather leash that looks like it's been chewed on. This is a very interesting area, but for you, Akka, this is home. This is a place that you're very familiar with. You have the guide to that, so you kind of have a rough idea to where you're going. Morwen, you see a couple things. You see maybe 3 levels up. If you try to find a way to get there, it's a maze of walkways, ladders, hallways that cross across open areas that lead up into other angling ladders. There are elements that in ways remind you of Kulturam for the vertical nature of this district, but it's just so much less organized. You can see things that have been hastily built. There is no code or standardization to this area. But you see maybe 3 floors up, a pretty good knot of people, and that's where a lot of this good smell is coming from. It looks to be some kind of a restaurant, perhaps, although very small. And then as you look around looking for Morwen's miscellaneous, you catch a sight of what looks like, you don't read giant, a sign in giant, and it has a number of words on it. You see on it, it looks like pictures of like almost like a bear paw and some other kind of track that you don't recognize.
What's your name? Heinrich. What's that say? And I'm pointing to the giant sign.
Looking at it, you can see the giant runes kind of rearrange themselves and change. It reads, Clan Wild Souls Bestiary. You look around and you can see there are signs that lead off to other places. Morwen.
What's that one say? I'm just pointing to a random one to my left.
With Heinrich's help, you can see there's a sign that points to something called the Courtyard of Glory. There is a little poster actually posted underneath that has like a little calendar and events written on it. You can see sort of what the Tail Risk Tavern, actually, this kind of 50-foot long but only 10 feet deep bar. It runs up on the 2nd floor, so just a floor above you, 50 feet down, and then there's just a 5-foot space and a bar that runs all the way down. It's a Goliath bar, Akka, you know that. You know they serve kind of like a farmhouse style beer most of the time. With that check, you don't see Morwen's miscellaneous. You would imagine this is probably not the district that it's within.
Hey, Akka.
Yes?
Where's Morwen's miscellaneous?
Morwen's miscellaneous?
Wasn't a store last time you were here, unfortunately.
Not here.
You could just ask people who live here.
Excuse me.
To the first. To the
Is there a certain
owlbear.
kind of person that you're looking for? Or?
Ask the owlbear or the owlbear.
No, I'm just asking a person that doesn't seem super grumpy or drunk.
Is there anyone I recognize?
Make a perception check. Morwen, as you kind of tag down the first person that you see, it is a Goliath. At the moment, he's kind of moving through. You can see broad-chested with these light blue tattoos that move down the left side of his chest and onto the ribs. Almost this. It's a very blocky kind of pattern. It looks probably like giant. Heinrich, for what it's worth. Well, actually, more when you're talking to him. So you could see bald head. There's no facial hair whatsoever. No eyebrows, no beard, nothing. And looking around, actually,
And I'm
almost
covered in fur.
almost every Goliath is like that. So in the way you stand out and you start to look around, hanging on the walls here and there, adorning most of the Goliaths, there are pelts and trophies from different animals. And there are some that have fur. Something to think about. But he turns and looks at you. Yeah.
Do you know where Morwen's Miscellaneous is?
What is it?
A store?
I would
You
probably
gotta
like.
help me for a little bit more than that. I mean, there's stores around everywhere.
I'll kind of chime in and be like, I think it's like a curiosities shopper, like the name says, miscellaneous. It's just got, acquired things.
It sounds like Avenue of Everdusk stuff. I try not to concern myself with that kind of thing.
I
Okay.
would-
Well,
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah. And he just turns and lumbers off.
I'm just kind of like, okay.
Okay, we gotta go there, wherever he said.
I rolled a 24 to see if I saw anyone that I know.
Yeah, here and there. I mean, you see people. Nobody that you. The 23.
24, and I'm specifically looking for someone who might know about a place called Morwen's Miscellaneous if it had opened up here.
Gotcha. Okay. Looking around, let me see who's in the area here. With the 23, you get sight of two things. So not necessarily somebody you want to talk to, but
Okay.
there is an element through the crowd where you can see even the Goliaths moving aside. And for Goliaths, there's a certain amount of you stand your ground and you have to kind of push your way through. And it's aggressive, but at the same time not, because that's just kind of the culture.
Yeah, it's just, pushy people.
Yeah, but you see them standing aside, and you do see these kind of heavily armored individuals, very different from the Goliath kind of furs and a lot of bear skin that you see. And you see just the top of this kind of like a pale blue hair. You would recognize this individual as Seraph Eufern. This is the sister to the current count of the city. She has a reputation primarily based on her involvement with the Arena of Glory. It is this kind of Goliath arena that allows, there's gladiatory style combat. There's a couple special events, Sundays in particular. There is this kind of, it's called the Onkeg Slay Off, I think. I can't remember the exact title. But, there's these creatures released into this courtyard within the actual city. And a competition for who can kill the most in a certain amount of time. And then the main attraction to it is there's actually a tunnel that leads directly to the Underdark where they lay bait, and then at the end of the night will open the gate and there's a battle with whatever is there. She runs that, and there is a certain amount, especially for you who are not a Goliath in this place, it is certainly her kind of profiteering off of this population. She's fairly charismatic and certainly ruthless. But you see
Probably
her
want
making
to
her
avoid
way,
her.
probably, and she's making her way
Is it
towards the
worthless?
courtyard. Yes, no
I
roots
said
in her life.
worthless at first. I was like,
Little column A, little
damn.
column B. But you see her making her way towards the courtyard of Glory. But then in terms of people who would know Morwen's Miscellaneous, the Goliath in particular, not super pleased about how everything has transpired here.
Right.
The Somber Crusades were really just, it's bordering on a genocide.
Yeah, bad times.
Yes. But aside from that, they definitely, in general, those from the Madrak, typically there's a lot of inter-clan fighting amongst the very proud groups that are here in a very, very tight space for a group that's used to wandering the open plains.
Okay.
they don't typically involve themselves with the Avenue of Everdusk, which
I
is nearly entirely probably run by the Circle of Silence.
Yeah.
That is a dangerous place.
I would probably not want to bring us there just yet. Knowing what I know about these folks so far, we're not going there yet.
So, Aka, is there any like cool places to stay and they're just kind of up there? Like higher up?
I mean, yeah, but what kind of place are you looking for?
Nice.
Look, it doesn't really matter. It's just any place high
Yes,
up.
it
That's
does. I want a nice
Okay.
fluffy bed.
Fine.
You know,
bed,
the nicest
high up.
place that you can think of, Aka, is Celle de Mer. It is that
Right.
really fancy Elvish restaurant / inn that you could. It's in the Title Accord district.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's like the other side of the city, isn't it?
Literally, yeah, polar opposite side.
You don't have to go there.
But it's also not. You have to remember, it's not a physically long.
It's not
distance.
huge, yeah, but it's just like
Depending,
okay.
there are places that are hard to get to, but that's not. I mean, once you get to the actual three-tied accord section, it's a fairly straight shot.
Right. Okay. I guess I'll suggest if you're looking for nice, which before you had said you didn't care, but okay.
I care.
She does.
Speak up when I ask you the first time, and then we can get there quicker. We gotta go across town.
Okay.
So, all right, and yeah, probably don't ask random strangers on the street questions until we get further away.
Why?
Yeah, it's not going to be easy with that. Morwen, please.
I think that other gentleman seemed very nice.
Yeah, but
Just consider.
Seem to
Do
know your
you
way around here?
do you
We're not from-
generally enjoy random strangers walking up to you during the middle of their day,
I don't mind it.
asking you random questions about places that I don't even know exist?
Yeah, that's okay.
Well,
Says Morwen.
I don't know how to respond to that either.
And now you've met a tabaxi.
Yeah, you'll get used to it. It works better out in the open.
The tabaxi?
Never mind. Let's just go.
What?
I meant her inquisitive nature.
Is there anything else that you guys want to do in this particular area, or do you want to begin your trek to the other side of the city?
I'll grab a bite to eat from somewhere that looks good on the street level.
Okay.
I'm getting the vibe of their street food here.
Oh, absolutely. So looking around here and there are small little carts that have been established. There are actually, and looking in, there are most of these little buildings that are kind of sectioned, some almost on top of each other, that are no bigger than like shipping crates that you would see on ships. Those form entire houses, like that little space. And they're quite cramped. You can see many beds pushed together. This is a place where space is at a premium. So the fact that these people have cut away so much of it to make this big open space in the middle speaks to kind of how cramped they feel here. But one of the benefits is there is within your arm's reach at any given time, especially within this district, little nooks and places where people are selling food.
I want a ballpark, Frank.
Okay.
You can't get ballpark Franks here.
The equivalent of that. It's something that I feel like...
It's just a regular hot dog, but at $8
exactly.
instead.
An overpriced hot dog.
So you go up and you can see there is a Goliath, a little bit older, still pushing close to 7 feet tall, even with the hunched back. You can see this is one of the very few Goliath that have any kind of hair. You see these little tufts of gray coming out of the ears, and that's pretty much it. He's sitting on a rather large stool, but you can see one of the legs is broken and been repaired. He's sitting inside one of these buildings, corrugated iron, and a window that's been cut away. The cut on the window is very sharp. It's been done very primitively, and you can see a table that's been laid out on the other side. Behind him, you can see kind of up on the wall on various shelves tacos, essentially. You would know that actually that these are called akas, because your friend is named Taco. Going up to him, he kind of just looks at you and grunts. What you want?
Is this who I think it is?
This is not
Okay.
Rock. No.
Okay. Before I socially make an ass of myself, is there visibly something that I recognize the name of in front of me?
Because of your feature, yeah. So you can see there are in giant, written in really rough handwriting, so much so that your feature, like you can see the
It,
letters
like,
almost
glitches.
shake a little bit because it's like
Yeah.
not written very well.
Sure.
You see something that says street standard, and it's kind of above a group of these little taco things, and you'd imagine that's
No
you could
hot dogs,
order
huh?
that. There's no hot dogs. There's
Okay.
there's it looks like 5 or 6 different kinds of tacos.
Okay.
Hello, sir. What would you suggest?
I'll get one of the street standards.
What are you having?
That's what I said. Street standard.
And he's saying that when Morwen asks what
Oh.
you'd recommend, what you're having.
Oh.
I would
Same.
probably.
Anyone else?
Sure, I'll
good.
take one.
All right. Then he turns around with these big hands. You can see like twisted and like knotted with age. He just bare hands 3 of these into one hand,
Mhm.
picks them up. You see little things kind of crumbling off. He holds the hand out to all of you. You can take them if you wish. And you can see in your hand, this is like a almost like a tortilla-like thing, although you can tell it's certainly wheat, because that's what grows a little bit to the north. It smells great. It smells like chilies combined with maybe like a molasses and salt and pepper, and definitely what we would consider cumin. And as you bite into it, it is fairly the meat itself a little bit chewy. And you notice as you pull it away, there are different textures in there. It's not all the same animal, but
Close enough to a hot dog.
it's good. Yeah. You know, in a way, it's kind of a deconstructed hot dog, a little sawdust in there for texture, but it's pretty good. And as you take that first bite, he kind of nods and just 1 copper. Takes one, takes the other.
Do you have money, Tina? Shae?
I do. Hold on.
She has a bunch now.
Yeah.
Shae would reach into a bag and actually would pull out a copper piece.
Are you sure you know that it's a copper piece?
Shae has no idea. That's just what I rolled. I rolled for it.
So he takes
There you go.
3 pieces of copper and just sticks them in the pocket and just goes back to kind of looking beyond all of you, done with this interaction. But you all have 3 street akas.
I'm gonna eat while I walk.
Okay.
That's it.
Eat while you walk,
I'm
little
gonna-
bits
I'm
of
gonna-
juice kind of running down your hand. It's
Is
good,
that-
but it is messy.
Oh, I
To that
like
point,
scarf
actually,
it.
I'm gonna just kind of lean
Sure.
over. Hey, Aka, is magic like here?
In this particular area, probably, right?
The only place that magic is openly practiced is the Avenue of Everdusk, because the way that it's formed.
It's
So,
like
and to a
up
good
there,
point,
Shady Town.
you can see here and there are people who are not Goliaths wearing a very similar kind of armor and tabard. You see the Sarantillian star. There are soldiers from Sarantil here. You know that they do not go to the Avenue of Everdusk.
Yeah,
Um,
not many people do.
'Cause all
with,
I was
like,
gonna do is
good
like,
intention.
hand it so I didn't get my hands all juicy and dirty. But if that's frowned
Like,
upon, I will suffer through it.
Yeah, maybe just use like your cloak or something.
Yeah, it's fine.
you walk and you eat. You make your way through it. It's a maze, and you're really glad that you have Aka here, because you're going up little stairs and into alleyways and into what looks like dead ends, but you actually end up climbing over crates and barrels to go over the wall, which ends up just leveling out on the other side, becoming a higher level. It's a maze. You pass people, Goliaths here and there. You actually would see something that none of you have seen yet. You see almost goat-like legs and a humanoid body, little horns, not like a tiefling's, a satyr actually, just kind of walking over and carrying something to a destination. This is a very diverse area, but you make your way out of the Madrak after probably about 45 minutes. Um, and you enter Aka, what you would know as the Quarter of Law. This is an area that is a little bit quieter. It doesn't have the animals. It doesn't have the kind of intensity and the hustle and bustle, but you see a little bit more families. And here and there, you begin to notice, especially you, I would say Shae and Morwen and Aka as well. You hear water here and there. And you realize through some of the open windows, there is running water in this part of the city. You can see here it opens up a little bit. The hallway is not quite as cramped together, not quite as narrow. It is still quite tight. Are you guys looking for anything as you're walking? I know more when you're looking for Morwen's miscellaneous, but anybody else?
I'm just, going through like the suburbs of my home
Okay,
to the Saldamer.
So you guys continue to walk. You go down a long hallway that you know, Aka, should you take this kind of twisting, rusted iron step, would lead you to the pit, which is the kind of rough holding area for prisoners on their way out of Nocturne. They're not actually held there. You pass, you can hear kind of laughter and music, and you smell pipe leaf off and a little bit to the east. And you would know that the Baron's Errand is probably another 15 minutes. You have to go up a few levels, but up there. You you would pass a place actually that Heinrich to you would leap out because you see a red shield on a wooden sign, which hangs just outside of Port Quinn. It is a little red shield caravan. I have to look at it every time. Actually, interesting point. It is not called the Red Shield Caravanserai. It is called the Red Shield Escorts. It is perhaps a little bit different. You would imagine difficult in here, not that kind of escort, Matt. Difficult in here to
It's listed right under.
Anyways,
Imagining a bunch of, what is it, Magic Mike dudes dancing around with like shields.
Yep, that's it.
If that's really happening, Morin's down. That's her type. I don't really know what Morin's type is.
Dad bods.
Yeah, for real. Yo, is Tank there? That's good.
You continue to walk, and as you do, you pass on the right. You can see maybe 30 feet away, but it would require kind of a weird finagling to go down a set of stairs. Almost, it looks like through, and there's a hallway that goes through like somebody's house and leads out to the other side, goes up a set of stairs, and you see the Whisper Factory, this kind of tavern. You pass that, and as long as there's nothing else that you guys wish to do without too much trouble, you would exit the Quarter of Law. And finally, after about close to 45 minutes of travel, despite the fact that you guys physically have not traveled very far horizontally, you enter the area that's known as the Three-Tied Accord District. Heinrich, the first thing that you notice is that there's a little bit more oxygen here. And you smell salt. You smell the ocean, very familiar. And before too long, you begin to hear seagulls, just in the distance at first. But this is a little bit more of a kind of port feel to it. And without too much trouble, you end up winding into a place where suddenly you can see little glimpses of clouds through the iron and the various windows. And it's disorienting because there are places where you can see through a window, through somebody's home, into a business, into a trap door, which goes up to the sky. But it's this very complex laid out maze that you're walking through. But you're able to actually see open air. And after walking for a little bit further, you can see the ground transitions from this corrugated iron to wood. And before too long, a large central dock stretches out in front of you, and the walls give way to just open sky. And you're now on the central dock.
I'm gonna actually breathe in and breathe out and be like, I'll be right back. I'm just gonna go walk all the way out until the only thing my periphery sees is ocean.
I mean, I like ocean, so I think I'm gonna follow you. And I'm looking for my boat for the very slight odds it'll be there.
Okay,
So-
don't get lost.
It would be very
We
difficult to
will.
get lost in this particular portion because this
Yeah,
is a
but I'm
40
still
foot
not
wide-
sure about them.
Fair. It is a 40-foot wide dock that just goes straight out into the water. And off of it, there are little jetties and wharfs and smaller things and buildings that kind of, you see, actually similar to Captain's Keep, there are a few buildings floating on old ships that have been built in much more securely. And there is kind of a pattern to it here. But you can see that these docks, as you transition away from the land, they'll float. And Heinrich, you standing, you realize even on this massive 40-foot dock, it is bobbing ever so slightly up and down. This is just a huge floating dock. You can see here and there are humans that are taller than the humans that you're used to, only by a little bit, but they dress differently. You can see many wear fur-lined garments of really fine make. You can see they have their hair mostly brown and maybe like a little bit dirty blonde in longer kind of curly hairstyles. Their armor is a little bit more rudimentary than some of the stuff that you've seen, leather and half plate. I would say none of you really recognize where these people are from. Actually, Akka, because you've grown up in this area, you've seen these people before. These are people that have traveled far from the east, from Derby. People who serve various parties there, have some connections to the Kingdom of Serentil, depending on who's in power in a given time, because it is just a constant rotation of just weird little political happenings in Derby. But you see people from there. And as a group, are you guys just going to take a little stroll down?
Yeah, I'm just enjoying being on the docks again and like the ocean that's not freezing cold.
Sure.
I'm gonna move as far as I can to keep them in eyesight so that they don't wander off somewhere, but I'm not particularly like going to check out the docks.
So you're following from a distance, mostly just keeping an eye on them.
Yeah, like I'm trying to get us. It's like it's getting late. Go hang out on the docks. Okay.
Matt, we're only to invest in some soundproofing for your area. I can send you some. I have some extra.
It's
is
fitting
there,
because
like-
we're on the docks, so it
I know,
sounds
yeah.
like working noise.
Right,
It sounds like
Sounds like someone's
somebody's.
building an IKEA desk in your apartment.
Oh, it sounds like somebody's
Oh, really?
mixing something in a bowl to me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like to me, it sounds like somebody making guacamole. Very specific.
It does. It
That's
does.
That's
fitting
what
from
I'm
the taco.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, so Akka, are you with us on the docks?
So, like turning around, you see Akka like maybe 15 feet
20
away,
feet away. Yeah.
Yeah. just
think
kind
I'm
of like
okay.
looking at things, but really keeping an eye on you guys.
I think I'm lingering
Alright,
closer to
I just
Akka,
remembered that I have.
almost keeping an
oh,
eye on
sorry,
him.
So you guys just looking at each other?
As you walk and the stare down happening.
I just remembered that I have a note from Ezra, so I have the address to Morwen's Miscellaneous.
There you go. I
Um,
was wondering if you would
It's a
remember that.
literal physical handout too, which is
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Oh, from way back in the day, yeah.
Nice. From like in
When-
person.
Yeah, when we played in person times. Oh, one day.
mean,
Day.
I'm just okay. Noting that, I'm gonna ask where that is when we get back. But I'm checking out the docks
Yeah.
for
looking for familiar
looking for-
boats and
yeah.
whatever.
You walk down the docks, you see
I look at my
things here and
non-existent
there.
watch.
The signs go vertically, and they're each written in several different languages, although there isn't a standard to them. There's common in almost every one, but then you see things written in Elvish and Dwarvish and a variety of different languages. But you pass a place called the Dreamer's Delight, and there is this kind of almost floral, chocolatey, yet strangely astringent kind of smell. The kind of wafts.
What is going on in your
Jeez, yeah, I
apartment,
know,
Matt?
wow.
is
that was
everyone
alarming.
Is everyone okay?
I know. There is this kind of strange, chocolatey, yet astringent smell that seems to be wafting out, and you can see these curtains in front of the door. You pass over on your right, where the dock kind of goes out into another large, yet not quite 40 feet long, maybe like 10 feet wide dock that goes out. There are no ships currently docked here, but there's a large stone building that has been built onto the end of it. Akka, you would know that this is where the Salty Sister and the Night Runner, the two largest ships that Nocturne has in its navy, or that the Kingdom of Serendil has in its navy. This is typically where they dock, although they are currently apparently at sea. But the Salty Sister Brewing Company is that large stone building. You can see off to your left, there is the kind of floating, it looks like a floating log, like half submerged. It's almost 40 feet long with iron banded over the top. For all of you, it would look vaguely like a really shitty submarine. But it has a little ramp that comes out of a doorway. There's a sign above that that says the Simple Shipwright. But eventually, you come up to an area that the dock sort of branches off and goes up to a much larger, very fancy structure. Aka, this is Celle de Mer. It's this very fancy, sort of still built out of wood because of the nature of how it needs to be built for this place. But there is marble that has been laid across the steps going up. They go up to like a little landing and then up again to where you see almost a patio and these little tables set up with chairs. It is quite nice. There's music playing. And weirdly, it almost always in this place seems as if distantly there is music playing. Certainly, or probably an enchantment of some kind.
The nicest place in all the city. Welcome.
And you see up kind of above, there are people in fine clothes walking to and from. The smell that wafts there now is just absolutely divine. You can smell cooking seafood and spices. Here and there, you can see people kind of walking around with these silver trays. There are different kinds of drinks and things of that nature. But would you guys like to walk up and have a dinner?
I do.
Oh,
I'm doing it.
Just kind of ate a taco.
So is this going to count as my meal for the day?
She's paying. That's on her. I'm good. I'm
I
good.
didn't agree
Guys
to
want to
payment.
go
You're
to
the
the
one
Salle de
paying.
Mer, but can't afford more than $1 a day. Okay.
Okay, so you guys walk up.
Point of fact, was there? We did not see the art Morwen's ship, right?
No, you do not see Morwen ship.
Okay. I
Oh
mean,
no, there's only one captain now. Sad.
sure. I mean,
The
fuck
captain
it.
of
Are we
many
all
hats
hungry?
is at sea.
Are we all hungry? I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why you guys just ate tacos if we
Morwen still has like little bits of juice and stuff like in the actual fur around.
I mean, fuck it. Whatever. When in Nocturne.
Sure. You guys walk up the steps. Okay, you trailing behind, perhaps aware of how expensive this is. Although I don't know that you've ever been. It is quite
Probably
expensive.
not.
You find yourselves in this kind of open patio. Looking down, you can see the wood beautifully laid so that the individual planks make these complex star patterns that spread across the entirety of the deck.
God damn it!
There are these. I know there are these. Imagine trying to run the game. There are these kind of thin walls that go up and they widen out at the top, and there are planters that go along. So there is still, even in the winter, these kind of thin, small, like blue and white roses, blue on the edges that transition to white towards the core, almost like a patterned china, kind of. But as you approach, you can see there's an elf wearing this kind of circular hat that rises up, this kind of black velvet on the top, and an almost like a very muted yet still slightly lustrous gold kind of band. Her white hair is put into what is, oh gosh, I have to remember what this is called. I believe it is a French curl. Is that a thing, right? Where you kind of curl three things in like that. It's an updo. I researched hair a lot this week.
I don't
Approaches
even
all
know.
of you. Approaches all of you. Welcome to Celle de Mer. Will you be joining us tonight for dinner or just rooms?
Both.
Fantastic. You are all dressed a little bit differently than the normal customs that we have, but I'm sure payment won't be an issue.
How much?
Oh, well.
Hear the menu?
if you need to ask, it is probably outside of your price range.
I doubt
But
it.
I
I've
could-
just never been here before.
Well, it is a pre-made menu, so there are 3 dishes. The food alone is 300 gold pieces a person, with accompanying drinks. That is at a fair discount, about 400 gold pieces. And then now and then there are additions to different courses, things that the chef would recommend, but due to the course and the price, um, we we understand it is not within financial reach of everybody.
So,
So
Yeah,
the
as I
rooms-
said-
I'm just looking at
The
Morwen, just being
rooms.
like, "This is your idea."
welcome.
For the rooms, each room is double occupancy, and we do charge an additional amount for people should you all wish to stay in a room for some reason. Um, it doesn't give you that much of a discount. I would recommend getting 2 rooms, each one at 12 gold a night.
Taco was pretty filling, so.
If you do need something a little bit more affordable, I can recommend a few other places.
It'll be okay, thank you. So now that you've seen the best, why not the rest?
Oh, I mean, I'm down to stay the night here. I just, don't need to eat expensive food.
I'm
I'm kind of like, damn, I thought this was my chance.
I'll pull out 12 for Akka. I'll just like,
Okay.
here, Akka, here you go. Thanks for getting us through those woods. I'll find my own.
Why are you
worry
giving me
about it.
this?
So you can stay here the night. It seems like you've always wanted to.
I don't need to stay here.
That's
I,
fine.
I wanted the food. I didn't get an Aka.
Well, then never mind. Shit. Okay. Let's.
Well, I'm keeping it now.
Well, now you can go get
I'll
12
buy
of them.
some Akas, yeah. That's
All right.
more than that.
That's an advance
Oh
then.
my-
For not staying here tonight.
I will say you are missing out on a delicious dinner. We have
I know, thank you. I'm gonna start walking away.
Once they all leave, I'm gonna be like, I'll take a meal. No, just kidding. I'm just kidding.
you all walk back down the stairs.
you
The
won.
music,
Get
this kind of beautiful music that it seems to be coming from both everywhere and nowhere at once, fades as you do.
get 2 and give 1 to Gunter. Pour 1 out for him.
So,
One of the
300
400 gold piece meals.
yeah, why not? You guys
It's
make
for
your way back
Gunter.
downstairs. And back to the main kind of central dock, and you can see the different, stores on either side. Where would you like to go now, Akka?
Okay, so having gone all the way across and like up to the area that I would have wanted to actually get some food from,
Sure.
I'm bringing them. Yeah, you guys are getting.
I mean, mind you, I'm not going to be staying anywhere. Oh,
You get the
Yes.
the. I think I'm gonna bring them. No,
that's Pipe Leaf Place. I'll just say out loud. What about that Pipe Leaf?
I'm
place?
gonna take them to the Always Baked.
It's always baked. Okay.
Yeah.
Hang on just 1 sec. So so you're going the back to where you had started, and then vertically
Yes.
up by about 5 floors. Okay.
Hey, whatever.
Yes.
I mean, tour of the city. I don't care. I'm taking it in and enjoying
Sure.
And I'm like,
So,
I'm just
if you
hungry,
want-
so I'm taking them to this place.
Why
I
didn't you
will
have a
say,
taco?
if you want, you could divert, and if you wanted to take a tour of the city and head
and hit up
to,
Miss Morin's miscellaneous.
you could you could wrap around the south side and go through the Avenue of Everdusk.
I am trying to avoid going through the Avenue of Everdusk.
Sure. I'm just
Um,
putting it out there.
Unless
it is?
they are actively trying to go. But I'm trying to go get food at the Always Baked now.
Hey,
Because
hey,
I am
Alka.
hungry.
Yeah,
Hey,
and
Alka.
12 gold richer.
You, well, for
Yeah.
what it's worth, just as a heads up, for Always Baked, they don't I believe, serve food. They serve tea. Oh no, sorry, I'm thinking of a different place. You're going to the bakery.
Always
I'm going to the
that would
bakery.
hopefully have food.
I thought you were going
Yeah.
to the Jade Tea Room, but okay.
No,
So
no.
you lead them. Right? Oh, go ahead.
Hey Aka, where's 11 Canal Street?
11 Canal Street?
Mm-hmm.
Would
Canal
that be...
Street's in the Avenue of Everdusk.
Yeah. That's in the Avenue of Everdusk.
Can we go there?
Maybe tomorrow. Probably not a good idea. That's the
Ever?
end of my sentence.
Okay. I don't know about this guy.
I'll take his word for it. So far.
He should have just eaten a taco.
I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe
Tomorrow.
guys did
That's
murder
fine.
people.
Look, we'll go during the day. It seems you're hesitant to go at night.
Well, yeah,
I
but I
mean-
mean,
It's always kind of a dangerous place. It doesn't get more dangerous because there isn't technically like daylight that gets in there. It's always, and you know,
I don't
it's
know.
always
What?
illuminated. Yeah, I'm telling Aka because he doesn't know everything about. Well, I'm telling Matt because Matt doesn't know everything about Nocturne. It is always lit by these all along the different buildings and the ceiling. There are these like soft pink, red, and yellow paper lanterns that are lit and kind of cast this beautiful kind of speckled light across the avenue. It's
Yeah.
almost always like a pink and red dusk there.
I just feel like
Thus Everdusk.
3 murderous humanoids. They probably would actually fit well in there, but I don't want to like be the one to bring them into contact with one another just yet.
Probably.
So I'm gonna stick by my statement of
Okay.
probably not a good idea. End of sentence.
No problem. You make your way back the way that you came, following the dock. Tina, did you want to say something? Okay, sorry. Following the dock and seeing the different stores and houses go past, the seagulls give away, and you see the light kind of becoming less and less as you enter into this hive of a city again. You wind through these corridors, following Aka, who knows his way through fairly well. You recognize here and there some of the similar elements that you've traveled through in the past.
Do we pass the tacos again?
I mean, it would be a very small diversion. You just need to travel another like 40 feet down a hallway to get there. But you could go in, no problem.
I want another taco.
Okay. The guy
Going to
sees
the
you.
bakery. Ah.
Okay, I'll have some food
Oh.
there too.
You can mark off another copper piece. You get another taco.
Get me too.
You want one?
Yes, if we're gonna keep making diversions.
Here you go. I get him a taco.
You get one as well. To this point, though, Aka, you do know what's within this taco.
Yeah.
This is a street standard, and it's something that every single Aka shop has. So, you know, as long as it's cool with you.
I'm like,
If you don't want it, I'll eat it.
how much further to the Always Baked?
You're looking at probably another 50 minutes just traveling up the vertical stairways and ladders and things.
I'm gonna hand it back to you.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I can hold off before I have to succumb to that. Just, yeah. If it was like another hour, I'd start rolling con saves.
So you begin to walk.
All right, I'm just holding his taco now because I'm like, what just happened?
Okay.
I'm just like,
I'm feeling
can
sketchy about the taco. So I'm just walking through with this taco.
Did you already eat the other one?
Yeah.
It's the same. It's just
Yeah,
they're
but
both...
you gave this one back to me after you asked for it, and that's weird to me. It's weird. It's weird.
Yeah, okay. Well, weird
So-
is as weird does.
And not that Morwen would know this, but Aka, you know that the street standard is just various city vermin cooked with chilies. a little bit of molasses, and most places also have like it's a different mix of spices for every place. But those are kind of the core components of it. Thus the different textures of meats. There's all kinds of things in there.
Cool.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
it, so I don't give a shit.
Doesn't really bother me. I'm half
You
cat.
will soon.
So you guys walk and you progress up these corridors. There's a part that becomes very vertical. You climb stairs, ladders. You see here and there are like rope ladders and actual makeshift wooden ones leaned up to make progress faster in places. Akka leads you skillfully through. You make your way towards the Always Baked Bakery, and you come to sort of the top regions of the northwestern corridors. The elements here shift a little bit. Still all the metal. However, here it is much better cared for. And you smell the sort of telltale smells, I would say, Heinrich, you would recognize the smell of fermentation here and there. You get to elements and you no longer see the same kind of mishmash of people. Shae, for you in particular, there is some interest here because you see individuals walking by in clothing that you recognize is designed very much for kind of martial pursuits. You see these individuals wearing a little bit simpler than Zinni attire. In fact, the craftsmanship not even on the same plane. Um, but these simple kind of green, almost robes. They expose the arms and they only go down to just below the knees. But it's this patterned green fabric that seems to have these kind of twisting lines that go throughout it, almost like vines. Um, Interestingly to you, they all seem to be at least a little bit drunk. However, they make their way and then they seem pretty happy. You begin to pass things that you recognize as monastic in nature. Here and there are buildings that seem to have on the outside still hallways and floors and things that kind of rise up into this hive, but these kind of pagoda like extensions that form at least little overhangs over doors and over windows. And for a moment, there are elements that do remind you a little bit of the monastery. Um, you can hear here and there, it is a little bit quieter, and uh, you do eventually make it to the Always Baked bakery. Before you even arrive, Shae, for you in particular, you can smell sweet smells. You smell chocolate. You smell raspberry. You smell the aroma of delicate coffee. Uh, you smell sweets. Some of you can smell bread and various kind of items that are still, even at this hour, baking away.
Well, that makes
It
me
is-
hungry, so I eat the third taco.
Right. It is a little colder now, and like elements of the meat have become quite gummy. Um, you bite in, and there's
Why
a
would you
texture like
say
lobster,
that?
but not that kind of taste. But you eat it. It is food. You come across the after passing the Tipsy Tavern on the right, which you guys can see these massive kind of platforms of iron that go up. It is stationary at the moment, but it's actually so currently it is far with like outside of your reach. You can see up maybe like 40 feet through like buildings and things, almost this elevator like structure that rises. But you do come to the Always Baked bakery, which is called that because it is always open. And you can see this large metal kind of structure. There's been an area at the top that's been cleared away, almost an open, empty section. And you can see the top part of that is blackened because the smoke from this kind of oven seems to kind of seep out and hit the metal there and disperse. It is a little bit smoky around this place, but the smells that are coming that you smelled, Shae, are coming from here. You smell now even more different delicate things. You smell bits of brandy and maybe orange liqueur that have been fused into different things. And through the open gap in the window, you can see laid out across tables, fairly simplistic. These wooden tables, there's no glass cases here, but there are rows and rows and rows of pastries. You see there is on the long kind of wall behind on the very end a table that is entirely these 4 or 5 large cakes. You can see some that are iced. You guys have actually had cake baked by an expert baker, so not quite as fancy as that way back in the day. But very fine looking. You can see smooth chocolate and little berries, and you can see this is almost set up like a uh, slightly less fancy French patisserie shop. All different kinds of little baked treats and goods. and the aroma that wafts out is delicious and inviting. Would you guys like to enter?
Oh yeah.
All right.
I'm getting a bunch of food.
Okay. You step through the doors, and as they do, there is no windows to the doors. There's like openings for windows. You push through. There's a little bell that, and because it's 10 o'clock, we're going to take a quick break here. It is 10:06. We will try to come back at 10:17. Stick with us if you can. We'll run the art, and you can see that Tina's put together this great slideshow of the various art that has come together from Erica Volova and Sophie Bischoff and Talon's daughter, who sent us some really cool things. So enjoy that for a little bit. We'll be back at 10:17. See you then. Howdy, folks. Welcome back to Adventures in Alberon. Thank you for sticking with us through the break and for hanging out while we play D&D. That's super cool. So, returning just right back to where we were, you guys now stand in front of Always Baked, the Always Open Bakery. As you push your way through the little bell ringing, you can see it's fairly empty at this time of night. There's not a lot of people who are coming here to eat like super sugary things at what is now 9 o'clock. But you see, have you been here before, Aka? So you can see Shaki, the human who kind of runs this place. Very shaggy black hair, although for the moment it has pulled back pretty tight because he's probably been cooking fairly recently. But he turns back. He's kind of arranging this little. It's a number of these kind of what look like maybe molasses cookies on a little tray. But he turns to you. Oh, hi, welcome. What can I get for you?
Let me get 2 loaves of bread and what was the most recent thing you made?
Oh, well, we have 2 French loaves. What would be French loaves? That's not actually what they're called. I know, it's so loud. We have 2 loaves of kind of a long, crusty bread, and then a half loaf left of a shorter one with some herbs baked into it.
I'll take all 3.
Oh, okay.
It's on them.
All right. Well, it's going to be 7 silver.
Gave you the gold already.
Oh, you already gave. Oh, sorry, you gave.
I gave Aka the gold already back at the other place.
But this is the daily meal, right?
Right. The 12 covers that, I'm assuming, right?
I thought that was in
Covers the silver.
advance. Do you?
Hey guys, you're bringing a lot of negative energy into my store. I try to
I'll
really
pay
keep it
for it.
balanced.
Sorry, Shaki.
I'll pay for it. How much was it?
They don't understand the economy.
For his bread, it's 7 silver pieces.
All right, and can I get a slice of that? Is it a cake? I point to a cake.
Okay, he turns around. You can see it is what looks like almost like a sheet cake with like a very shiny chocolate coating and these little white lines that have kind of waved through. It looks like maybe piped on. But he turns. Oh yeah. Let me get you one of those. That's a little bit more expensive. Sugar is kind of pricey. This is going to be 5 silver just for the piece, but it's entirely worth it. You've never had anything like it. Okay. Takes it, puts it on this little kind of soft pink napkin and hands it over to you. So that's 12 silver in total. Anything else for any of you? Takes it.
You got anything savory right now?
This isn't really kind of like a savory place.
I know.
Some of the bread in the morning does have a little bit of meat baked onto the top.
None of that left over, though.
From the morning, no. It's almost.
I know. I know. Well, all right. Thanks for the bread. I'm gonna go and start heading out and eat my bread.
I'm gonna just
Enjoy
shove
the
the
bread.
cake in my face.
Thanks. Have a good night, Shaki.
You as well. And if you really like that, we could probably give you a deal on a lot more if you want.
The cake?
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll travel well in my bag, but thank you.
Oh, okay. And kind of waves as you guys one by one trail out the door. Aka, are you leading them yet somewhere else now?
Yeah. I feel like I kind of need a drink at this point. So I'm gonna go to the Tipsy Tavern. Be like, all right, I'm stopping for a drink. You guys have worn me out.
So the Tipsy Tavern currently stationary up where it is. It's not going to descend probably for at least another hour because it takes almost an hour to
okay.
All
right, then I guess I'll just go straight to where did I say before?
The 2 places that are close are the Baron's Errand and the Whisper
Factory.
Factory.
Whisper Factory, yeah.
Okay. You guys, again, trace your steps almost exactly back for most of this trip.
I'm just stuffing my face with the bread.
Sure. Just crunching into the loaves. It's a little bit stale. This was baked this morning, but it is a crusty bread with a very soft, kind of airy interior. So you crunching away at it as you go, no problem. Sorry. You descend the various ladders and stairways, the elements of rope. You actually travel through these hallways that are kind of crowded with people. A few people kind of eyeing Akka jealously, but you make your way back and into the quarter of law, and you find your way to the Whisper Factory. This is a place that combines several of these smaller units to create a large footprint in a single floor. There are booths along the walls you approach. You can see through this long open window, separated by partitions. You can see the ceiling is about as high as it can be in the given space, and there's been almost like these pillows or something similar kind of uh, layered across to muffle the sound. Um, you can see, Heinrich, that there's red and white wine that is being served. And actually, to catch your interest, there are bottles of Prouse Pale Ale up on the wall,
Huh.
actually currently gathering dust. They look
Well,
a little bit
sure.
on the old side. But yeah, you can see a few other things that are available. There is a few people here, and actually, interestingly enough, Akka kind of biting into these kind of hunks of a hearty bread that seems to be on sale here, along with like little bits of cheese. You see one person off in the corner who has a hearty soup of some kind that is currently eating it. Um, there are a number of people here. It is not super packed, but it's, there's maybe like 15 people in this entire space.
I'm going to go up and get a beer and a bowl of the soup to have with my crunchy bread.
Sure. So you walk up, you can see at the bar at the moment, or not, it's not really a bar. There is no bar in front of it. There is kind of like a counter that goes behind, and you can see somebody kind of attending to the various things there. But she looks to be a human in her 30s, brown hair that's prematurely graying and kind of just kept back in a very, very simple kind of like all just swept to the side and put together with some kind of a band. She turns around to you. Welcome to the Whisper Factory.
How's it going? Let me get a bowl of soup and your darkest ale.
Will you be getting a booth? Are your friends joining you? Or
I wish I could answer that for you, but I honestly don't know at this point.
she turns over.
Turn and I'm kind of like,
Friends of this individual, will you be staying and eating and drinking as well? Or-
acquaintances
Yeah, I'll have a drink.
at most.
Okay. We have wines and beers here. What would you
Beer.
prefer? I have just the thing for you.
I'm good, thanks. I'll just
Okay.
be seated with them.
No problem. I'm sure the company will be good. Human.
I'm not.
Also, all set. Thank you.
So for one order of soup, the beer for the tabaxi, and for you, did you want to drink? I'm sorry.
Yes, the strongest ale you have.
Very well. That is altogether going to be. Sorry, math. That's going to be 2 pieces of gold and 2 copper pieces.
I look over at Morwen.
Okay.
Hesitantly, you hand the money over. She takes it, turns around. You watch Heinrich as she pulls one of these Prouse bottles off. The dust swirls away, but pulls the cork away from it, and there is like a and a very loud kind of fizz as this highly fermented version of Prouse Pale is opened. She slides it over to you, Morwen, or hands it over to you. There's no bar. Turns around, you can see pulls from a tap a foamy amber colored ale and hands it to you, Akka. Just find anywhere to sit down and I'll bring the soup to you when it's ready.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
I'm gonna go find a booth,
Okay.
kind of
No problem.
off in the corner somewhere.
So the booths are
us.
all set up to be kind of away from each other as much as you can in a very small space. You all go and you sit kind of the closest to the corner you can get, the northwest corner. Um, Interesting to note for all of you as you take your seats around this circular table, you're able to see now across to the bar again. And as this person moves and slides away or closes a cabinet, you can see that it was covering a board that has a number of different posters on it. You can see, even from this distance, some of them having been featured on a number of them, some of you, wanted posters. Some of them old and kind of worn away, many of them defaced and probably no longer relevant, but there are a few that look kind of fresh. But
I'm gonna look at them.
okay, make a perception check if you're looking all the way across the room.
No, I mean, is it like next to a table? Like, can I just get up and look at them?
Sure, yeah. You walk over, looking at all of them. You can't read a lot, but Morwen, for you, there's one that really stands out. You see, there's one. You can see a number of like letters and numbers that you don't quite understand, but the face is very familiar to you. A little bit older than the last time you saw her. Um, It is a grinning, bulbous, kind of football-shaped head. This goblin, female. She has this crazy look in her eyes, even in this depiction. The hair is different than you remember it. It isn't blonde. It isn't this kind of blonde wig that looks like a mop. It's kind of stick straight and black. It seems to have changed over time. You see the crazed look spread across her face, but this is Bev the Beauty. Even without being able to read it, you remember this goblin brutally attacking your friends the very first moments that you arrived on Dominion shores. You see, like this monstrous looking woman who has this big bun and looks quite dangerous, big underbite. You see a chubby cheeked man with long curly hair that comes to just above the shoulder. Make a straightened, or you know what? What's your passive perception? It's 17?
Correct.
You see a symbol that you recognize. It's not quite right. It looks like maybe the artist didn't quite get the depiction correctly, but there is almost like a pin on the shoulder that looks like a skull with a cog rising out of the top right corner of it. And then you see the second thing that almost takes your breath away. Frankly, Hollis. You see something else that does take your breath away a little bit because one of the oldest ones that's still visible, you see a dwarf, maybe a short man, chest-length beard, slightly tattered cloak, and what looks like a pinstripe vest over a fine-looking collared shirt. But for all of you, you see a much younger version of Gunter. You can't quite read the lettering that's underneath, but there's a long list of things.
Wait, so I don't recognize that it's him?
You recognize that it's him, but you can't read any of the words on it. There's a very big number at the bottom, bigger than any number that you've seen, and a long list of things next to the name. But it is certainly Gunter.
Is it written in common? And I just can't read it well.
This particular poster is not. It is written in Elvish, so you might get little bits here and there.
All right, I'm running over to Heinrich, and I'm like,
What?
Let me show you something. I need you
just
to
sat
read
down.
something for me. Come on. It's important.
I'll be right back.
All right, I'm making Heinrich read it to me.
Okay, Heinrich, you
I
walk
don't
over.
like
You see the
this new
same thing.
arrangement.
You see Bev the Beauty. You see the kind of hideous woman is labeled the Mountain Magi. You can see that chubby-faced person with the Midnight Assembly symbol on them is simply named Pool. And then you see a very young version of Gunter, dressed quite differently. Still doesn't look terribly hinged. It is not Gunter's name underneath. It reads the Gazelle. You can see the list of crimes includes theft, larceny, murder, extortion, blackmail, kidnapping, bribery, possession of a type C magical item, assault, possession of a type B magical item, public indecency, conspiracy, arson, counterfeiting, impersonating a government official, impersonating a noblewoman, and then somebody has scribbled in at the bottom, et al.
I'm going to start shedding a few tears, be like, and while he's reading it out to me, I'm like, I miss him so much.
The price next to this person began at 80 gold and has steadily had zeros added to it. It is currently 80,000 gold pieces.
Oh wow, he beats you, Tucker.
Yeah, he sure did. But, huh?
What's like the nature of these posters? Are they just like nailed in to be looked at? Like what's
Heinrich, you can read that these are all essentially bounties.
Right. Why do you want to keep it?
Yeah. I don't have a picture of them.
I'll look around for that woman who was seating us earlier.
Okay, yeah, currently she's just kind of moving some things around, cleaning, but looking at your gaze, she walks over.
It's kind of like, kind of a weird question, but are these like able to be taken, or do you need to leave them up?
Which one in particular?
That guy.
The gazelle? You can take it. He hasn't been here in a long time.
Okay,
She
thank
goes
you.
over and
Appreciate it.
pulls these metal nails out and pulls the poster off, rolls it up, and hands it to you.
Yeah, appreciate it. The wine you have here, what's the red one? I'll just be like handing it to you as I'm talking.
We like to call it the house red.
Sure.
Are
You know
you
what?
a big wine drinker?
You don't need to. It's fine. I'll just take one of those.
Are you a big wine drinker?
Look, it's usually, but not right now.
So then let me say, could I recommend the beer?
Sure, I appreciate that.
Goes and just pulls, similar to what Aka got. You get the sense that the wine probably not that great.
Yeah, I feel like that heavily implied.
But slides this or hands this beer over to you. See amber colored, pretty good head to it.
How much is it?
Just a silver piece.
Sure, I'll hand 2. Thanks for the poster.
Thanks for the tip.
All right, now I'm gonna sit down and be like, guys, look what I found.
It's young Gunter and a lot of crimes.
Really
A wanted poster?
Yeah, that's my friend.
Right. Okay.
She's not lying. That's who we just traveled with. That's the one that we just lost.
That's the one that's in my bag.
You were traveling with the gazelle?
No, I was traveling with Gunter.
He had a million middle names. I'm not surprised that he had a million first names too.
You know, come to think of it, I heard some guy call him Honeydew. Isn't that hilarious?
Remembering the circumstance in which he was called Honeydew, I kind of ignore that.
Okay. I'm gonna
Never
turn
mind.
to Shae. and be
Neither
like,
here nor there.
Are your friends always this?
Wait, what do you
This-
know about this guy?
This?
He's like
Yes.
city legend.
He is? Oh my god, so cute. Tell us a story.
I mean, there's not much to tell. He was just, one of the greatest crime lords in the city.
Oh yeah,
For-
that's the one who we're bringing back to life.
Also, one of the most elusive.
Nah, I
No one even knows if he exists. Well, I guess you guys know that he exists still.
Did.
Well,
Does.
Right.
Right.
Well, yeah, he's like an urban legend basically at this point.
Yeah,
I
it's
believe
been a number of decades since the gazelle's even been mentioned, really, in like an active sense.
With all of the back in his days that he regaled to us unceasingly, I do not doubt that there are many stories about him that he did not even tell.
perhaps
yeah, I
didn't
mean,
even recall.
That's another good point. That's another
he
good point.
sounds like a really interesting guy.
Yeah.
That's a word
Look.
for it.
Hmm. You
If you're
guys
coming
are
north
also
of us, you
all
might
really
hear some interesting stories too as we go.
Hmm.
Should we stop and call Taram for any random reason?
Yeah, actually, while we're here, Aka, do you know anyone who can bring anyone back from the dead around here?
So specifically, if we're
While
talking
hearing
about
conversation and random location.
so to that point, you have heard of maybe 2 or 3 situations. You know, there is this mysterious guy in the title accord area who goes by the name Calico Amir, and they're a fortune teller, spooky kind of person. You've heard
Yeah.
that they're able to scry on people. Maybe would be the kind of person who could do that. And then again, all of these roads seem to lead to the Avenue of Everdusk. There is all kinds of stuff that happens there. There's real quick, let me pull it up. That there's the Soul Exchange, which offers bonded wizards, and perhaps one of them might be able to do it, although that would be incredibly expensive and pretty unethical.
Yeah.
That perhaps within the Jade Exchange, it's like a huge kind of fencing flea market sort of situation. So maybe although that's more items based. You've heard weird things come out of the Spirit Monastery. There's a lot of things there that might connect to it.
But also bad. Morally,
I mean,
bringing people back from the dead is generally morally
yeah. So, having been asked this, I'm going to
Look, she was really attached. She was really attached.
And then I'm going to relay the 3 places that I know of.
So he tells you of Calico Ramir, and then within the which is in the Tidal Accord area, and then he would also tell you of the
Jade Exchange.
The Jade Exchange is a sort of
Soul Exchange.
It's hard.
Soul
It's
Exchange.
It's not a place that you're just allowed to go into. Also, that's.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to need to know somebody to get in there. You can freely enter probably the Soul Exchange. Aka's not been there, so I would say probably you don't know much about it. It is a small building, but it takes people a long time to go in and out of. So you would imagine there's some magic at work there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you relay those different places.
The inevitable of going to the Avenue.
Yeah. There's Eric's Black Market Shop too, which literally called, I believe, Eric's Black Market Shop. It offers a lot of very strange magical items, and so maybe something there as well.
So it sounds to me like you all want, with a dying passion, to go to the Avenue of Everdusk.
Yeah, I've got a lot of business there.
Yeah.
You've never been in this place before,
but
yet you have a lot of business in the Avenue of Everdusk. Okay. And you're traveling companions with the gazelle.
Well, I guess we still are. Parts of them.
Technically.
Another long journey.
Where are we staying? Here?
They have rooms, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is where I was planning on dropping you off for the night.
Where are you going?
Nowhere in particular.
Okay.
So,
Sure.
if you guys wish to get rooms here, should we tell you 2 silver pieces a night? Easy enough. They're single rooms. They're fairly small. They're almost like dormitory style, but very functional and clean.
Okay.
I mean, I'm going to pass on a room. I don't really need one.
Sure.
I want a room.
All right. You can mark off 2 silver pieces. You have access to a room.
Did I see on the way a decent place relatively higher up that I could put myself away for the evening? A roost,
It's hard.
She needs her bird's nest.
Here in particular, give me one sec. You would have seen signs that led to a place called the Commander's Chambers, and that seems to be the highest point in the Quarter of Law, which is where you currently are. You have no idea what that's like, but there is no sky in this place. I mean, you can see up high, but it's like little bits through like different windows and stairways, and it almost everywhere is high relative to another place here. It's a warren. There isn't really, at least not here, an open place like that. Back in the Modrock, there was like a big open kind of space, and there were places. But from what you've seen, either there or maybe somewhere in the Tidal Accord, the Tidal Accord area where it's like kind of open to the air, those would be the high places, but kind of far.
Okay. I think any like nookie type areas out of the way.
Nookie.
Great use of words. Okay. Make a survival check.
That's a 19.
Okay. So from the Whisper Factory, you find your way a little bit north and not very far. It takes you maybe 10 minutes to walk, but it's mostly picking your way through different doorways and hallways. There is a point where the metal abruptly stops and becomes stone, like fine stone. And you can see a long building that is also tall, and the stone goes up into an arch like this.
Mm-hmm.
And there is stained glass that, despite the fact that there is no sky, seems to have a little bit of daylight passing through it. There are big, kind of banded plank doors with iron that goes across that are currently closed. You recognize the architecture style. This is probably, although you don't see any outward iconography right away, a Church of the Six. Up in this kind of where it rises up in an angle, you could get on top of that. It kind of protrudes by about 3 feet, and you could kind of wedge yourself up there, no problem.
Perfect.
Okay, you scale, no problem. Kind of using your legs and your arms to kind of like climb up and then pop up onto the top. And it's not flat, but as a monk, you kind of lean in and you find yourself very comfortable, about 18 feet off the ground. There's a roof right over your head, but it's a little nook.
I'm gonna just like, I don't know, if you're heading up to bed, I'll just be like, I'll see you down here in the morning.
Where are you gonna be?
Right here.
All night? Okay. All right.
So-
And I'm gonna go up to my room and I'm gonna take the poster and I'm gonna lay it down on the bed and I'm gonna lay next.
You do so, and it's not quite the same, but looking over, you do see at least a familiar-ish face, although flat and kind of faded.
Probably crinkly.
Less so than the real Gunter.
True.
So only one of you is going to take the lodging that we traveled around the whole city to get to.
You say to nobody as Morwen
No,
is
I'm
upstairs,
It's
or
just
Heinrich
him
is the
and
one
I,
on
It's
there.
just him and I
Yeah.
at the table now. Look, I'm aware we're a weird bunch, and I'm
Are
aware
you?
that we came off pretty strong. That's it. I'm just aware of these things. We'll see if
Can I get another?
we'll see if things change when we hit the road. It's usually
She
a little
nods
easier when
and-
it's there.
Comes to fill it up. It's another silver piece that you can mark off Locke unless you're going to convince her to get somebody else's money.
Not this time.
A silver piece.
So you're from around here then, I take it, since you know it so well.
I've been through here before.
Okay. I mean, is it your home, would you call it? All right, well, let's try this. I'm from Port Quinn, not too far away, hence the excitement on the docks.
Okay.
And met up with these guys circumstantially, let's call it. We're tethered together through, I don't know, fortunate and unfortunate accidents, which is why it doesn't seem to make sense why we all pick a place to lodge and then go our separate ways. Just sort
Yeah,
of,
that's kind of strange for a group of traveling companions.
yeah, but you know, it's just out of a mutual respect for the fact that we're all pretty fucking weird.
So you distance yourselves regularly because
And we
you're
just-
all
give each other space and don't question, and it's been working out so far.
Right.
I mean, for
Well-
the 3 remaining of us.
I guess then I should also not ask questions and just let you all be weird for
Do
a
what you
gold
want.
a day.
I mean, if you're joining us, you'll see it's kind of a do what you want group. We don't have any contractual binding obligations or things written in stone. Just kind of
You
wants
just
to
kind
go
of
to this dusk alley or avenue of ever dark or wherever you said it was. And
well.
we're not
I
going to not
mean-
do that because we're here.
I whew. This gold a day. Oh boy.
What are you used to?
I'm used to people having a set task that they hire me for,
Hmm.
as you have done,
Right?
and then doing that,
Right.
not chauffeuring the 3 of you around the city for what? I thought, like,
Ultimately, it's the circle.
from
of
my understanding, I've been
transportation, so
hired to get you transportation to and assistance with reforging the staff of Twisted Fates.
Well, you seem to know a fair enough about it, which is more than personally.
Right,
I
but
do.
I'm just wondering then why to get a room is such an ordeal.
Like I said, we do better.
A lot
Not
of
in
people wonder
cities.
that.
Yeah, I
It
guess I'm
works
just
better
used
on the
to
lam.
my clients, doing the thing that they hired me to do
Sure.
with some efficiency.
It's also fair to assume that those people seek you out in the first place, whereas we stumbled across you in a
Yeah.
maybe something fortuitous, and our journeys thus far have kind of at least led me to believe that coincidences should be investigated. So why not?
Okay. That's all well and good. And yeah, you seem like a fun bunch. So good night. I'm gonna
Yeah.
get up.
Here in the morning. I make no attempt to change anything about what you're thinking. I'm just
Alrighty.
laying it out that we're fucking weird, we don't make sense, and we're doing something that you are now obliged to join through money.
So, Morwen and Shae have found their rest already. We'll start with you, Akka. What are you doing tonight?
I think I would probably, now that it's clear that they aren't all staying in this place, I would make my way just to like get my rest at this the safe house.
Okay, sure. You make your way through. You follow the streets, which are a little quieter. This
I would
isn't
also
quite-
tell Heinrich before I left. I'd be like, "I'll meet you back here in the morning."
Right. I'll be right here.
Okay. You make your way eventually, coming to the outskirts of the Avenue of Everdusk, where the safe house is. Almost like a storm cellar, this big wooden door. It's flat and chained and locked. You know it's not a normal lock. You find the place to push and it springs open free. Pulling it away, removing the chains, you can open it and take down 5 steps to a very thin, it's almost like a half floor, kind of stashed between 2. So even for you, and how tall is Akka?
Hold on, I wrote it down. 5'9".
Okay, so you don't have to like crouch, but there's only about an inch or 2 of clearance. Very packed quarters, but there is 2 beds, kind of the head of one touching the foot of the other. Little carpet that's laid out. You can see a large table that has been wedged into the corner or the end of the room. There's a number of seats kind of spread out and a few cushions. There's a little dust. It's been some time since this place has been used, but it's clean, looks undisturbed. You would know that it being a safe house, there is a false door behind that bed all the way on the end. And behind that wall there should be a small room containing a teleportation circle. Within that
Okay.
room, there is also probably a cabinet that has a few essentials. But that is what is there.
Okay. I think I would just use it as a, resting spot. I'm not doing anything in particular, waiting to hear back, I guess, from the collective.
You didn't get in touch with the collective. There's nobody at the safe house. So if you wish, you could send that.
Then
that
yeah, I would
to
try
Dungannon.
to make contact now and send that message.
Using the homunculus.
Is that the best way to do it without myself going and like using this teleportation circle?
Yeah.
Then
At the
yeah,
moment,
I would probably do it that way then.
Okay, no problem. You take the little origami bird, you transcribe the message, and it kind of takes off and goes out the window. And then, having done this a number of times, it probably bewilders a good number of people as it snakes through the corridors and the sort of jungle of humanity that this place is. But it disappears. Heinrich, what are you doing for the evening?
Ordering another beer and
Sure.
reading up on Elvish to start.
Sure. So you can mark off another 3 hours of Elvish.
Cool. And I'm gonna pull out the book. I only have
Pull out
one
the book.
question, and I think it's one that I'm gonna be repeating until we get there.
Okay.
Are the shards of the breaker still in Yorn?
Okay. You write these celestial glyphs that disappear into the page. You see the kind of faded, tattered parchment before it shimmers, and the answer, just one word, yes.
And I'll kind of close it, feeling comfortable. It's the only thing I needed to do. So I'll just that, and then kind of just pace around the immediate area of this tavern for a bit, just see what I
Okay.
see.
Pacing around just this immediate area.
Yeah, like outside.
Aside,
And,
sure.
Looking at the sights.
Yeah, make a quick perception check. And then I'll get back to that last thing.
It's just what my passive would pick up.
Okay.
Okay.
You can see, again, that sign that goes to the pit. The only thing that's different in this little quick walkthrough from the things that you've already seen, in the sign, you can see that there is like this little thing that's been kind of painted onto it. And it reads, one second, let me go all the way down there. 5 stories down to Sarentil secondhand. Kind of this blue paint that's been repeatedly put on. It seems to fade and be put back several times.
Sarentil secondhand?
Mm-hmm. But that's kind of all you see.
Sure,
Okay.
I'll go check. As long as this is not strenuous activity.
It isn't.
Trying to keep it.
Yeah, sure.
Low.
So it isn't. You slowly go down the stairs. You let people pass you. You take your time. It is a twisting staircase. It does go down 1 level, 2 levels, 3 levels. The passive light here is a little bit darker. There are fewer lanterns, but you go 5 levels down. It stretches into this area. You are now hearing a lot more like running water, and in a greater quantity. But you come to a space where there's been a lot of the kind of walls and warrens hollowed out to allow for there to be a metal shack that has a rounded top. It seems almost welded into the side, like flush with the wall. There's dirty water that runs off of the shop. You can see it trickling out of tons of these tiny little, almost quarter-sized drains, and they run down and out and into a larger drain on the bottom. Akka would know that these drains all lead down to above the pits, where it kind of just the refuse water runs onto the prisoners that are kept there.
Even worse.
Yeah. You can see that the space inside is very tiny, only 5 feet deep, 10 feet wide. There's nobody currently standing there, but you can see there's a thin slit in the wall on the other side of that. And you see a female half giant, this huge face in the slit. You see the eyes just kind of taking up the majority of it. She's looking at you, and when you make eye contact, you see the eyes draw away and this thick hand come up and then just kind of wave from the other side of the window.
I'll
When the eyes reappear.
wave back. How do you do?
You can see the eyes disappear as the mouth kind of rises up. And she just says, I do quite well, and how about you? And the eyes like reappear.
Pretty good. What's this place?
This is Sarentil's second hand. I am Uga.
Nice to meet you, Uga. Name's Heinrich.
You see the eyes disappear, and the metal bends as the hand stretches through, like to shake yours. You hear behind it this dim voice just go, Uga, no. And the hand withdraws. And looking through, you can see there is another, this gentleman in his 60s, perhaps, sort of has like a little bit of this sort of, the hair has been swept over what is probably a bald spot, although it is quite thick and hard to tell. He makes very direct eye contact with you, but then quickly looks away. And you hear him just say, Uga, just tell him what we have. And Uga, the eyes just immediately take up the whole space again. We have things found in the sewers. Lots of things wash up.
Huh. Like a miscellaneous shop.
And you hear from behind again, Uga, just say what we have. And then you see the eyes like turn a little bit and then turn back. Today, the items that we have are a gold sculpture. And you see like one of the eyes close as if to think. Armbands of snakes, a sack of endless bugs, Gil, and you see just from behind this, and actually you see it's like a half elf, human, partially elvish. What is stick called? And you see he turns around. That is a boomerang, and kind of turns around. Boomerang, and we have a rod.
Okay. All right. What is this rod?
See the eyes disappear, and the water like shakes. It's very Jurassic Park. The water shakes. You can see she's bent down in this space that is about 7 feet tall. She has to bend her head down. She turns her hair long and kind of scraggly. There's like a bald patch in the back, but she lumbers over to a shelf. You hear as she like swishes something to the side, like things fall and ting, 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 clatter across the ground. But she grabs something, comes back. You see the eyes first. Then the eyes draw away, and the hand and 2 fingers hold out what looks like a hollow iron rod that has a simple band around the head of it. And you can see the eyes pull back into view. Most expensive.
What does it do besides be a rod?
You see the eyes draw away again. The 2 delicate fingers pull it right to the window length. The eye appears behind it. Put gold on top.
What do you mean?
Uga will give back. Just put gold on rod.
Sure. Any kind of gold?
Yes.
Okay.
Any small object.
Okay. I will take out the wedding band that I found from somewhere at one point. There was probably someone. Oh, you know what? It was
You found it on the corpse of a dwarf.
Yeah, on the way to Colteron.
Mm-hmm. You hold out. Okay, you take out this little band, and you place it on the top. And at first, it just sits on this very flat surface before suddenly it just kind of lifts up and begins to slowly orbit the rod. Uga's eye returns. 3 things will float around it.
And just float around it?
Yes. You see the eye kind of squint, and then you hear like the sound of hands like tapping on like flesh before the eye turns aside, and you see Gil now appear. He doesn't make eye contact. He has a very forced way of speaking. But he doesn't look at you and he says, we can't quite identify magical items, but it is magical. It has other effects. We just do not know what they are. But you can put 3 things on it and it will orbit, as long as they are small.
Huh.
And
Is
he
there a
just
way
kind of
that I
draws
could
back
discern-
away, and Uga
Yeah.
appears.
Could I 2 things
Sure.
with detect magic
So
try
you
to discern it? I'll kind of be like, huh, and I'll think as I'm looking away and like make sure that as it's activating,
okay.
they don't see my eye.
You turn the black eye away, and that glyph appears, although they do not see it. As it fades back into black, you look. You can see that this glows with. Give me a second. I gotta look what this would glow with. It does glow with enchantment magic. You can see it is enchanted, and additionally, it seems to have some element of. I would say it is just a very strong enchantment. It's hard to tell exactly what it would do based on that, but you can tell it is not meant to destroy things. It is not meant to make an intelligence check, or actually make an Arcana check.
I was gonna say with that knowledge too.
Yeah,
it's trying to gain an edge, but all right. Well, not gonna learn that. It was a 1. Well,
okay.
Technically, but
it explodes in your face.
You've heard of a lot of different rods, but this one isn't really lining up with anything. So,
sure.
No idea.
Like, okay, that's cool. How about those snake armband things you said?
She pulls the thing, and as she pulls it away, the ring hits the top of the stone and falls. You catch it in your hand.
Yeah.
But lumbers back and puts it away. What did you ask about?
You said snake armband?
She doesn't walk that far away. She reaches up, and you can see like the whole body rise into view. She's pretty big, but it's like muscle. It's like gym teacher body. You see like the kind of belly looks kind of firm. But she reaches up and pulls and comes down with these 2 little armbands. They're gold, and they are made to look as if they are asps that then curl around and around and around. And there's just these very thin kind of scaled rings that are joined by a polished steel set of hinges, so they could probably open and shut.
Okay. Is it magical with the eye still active?
It is not magical. However, with detect magic on, as she reaches up and grabs it, you do see a few little glints in the background. It is a leather sack, and as you look at it, you see there is like a little crumbled up dead insect on the top of it, probably the sack of endless bugs. It glows with an energy very similar to a bag of holding, as you have seen them previously.
It's just a bag of holding with a bunch of bugs in it.
There is a boomerang that glows with a fairly bright, vaguely evocation magic. It is probably a magical boomerang of some kind. And then the staff still glows the bright kind of enchantment magic. It is the most magical of anything here by a pretty good shot.
The staff? That's not the rod, right?
Or sorry, the rod.
The rod, okay. Okay. How much were each of these things on offer?
Gil, and again, the eyes draw away, and Gil comes back. The sculpture, we do know, is a Fazarakian sculpture, quite valuable. That would be just under 4,000 gold pieces. The armbands, 250 each, or 400 for both. The sack of endless bugs is just 100 gold pieces. We have a boomerang. It is magical. The dwarvish ruins would indicate as such, but not sure what. 500 gold pieces. The rod, from the little that we know about it, 10,000 gold pieces. Would you like any of these items?
I'll think about it. Do you have to keep repainting?
He disappears into the back, and Uma's eye just comes back down.
You keep repainting that sign up there? Do you guys get a lot of customers down here?
Yes. During the day, but late. Uma's tired.
Right. Well, okay. Well, thank you for these really interesting item options. I'll consider them. I appreciate it.
The eye pulls away, and again, his hand reaches through the already stretched window, no longer creeping, as if the fingers go out to shake your hand goodbye.
I'll cordially and
And a surprisingly light grip. It doesn't like hurt at all. It's not like a pinch. She's done this before, and she shakes her hand.
Okay. All right. Well, good night. Nice to
Good
meet
night.
you. And I'll leave.
Okay, you wander back up the stairs. No
Just like
problem.
muttering under my breath, like, "Wow, oh, it's expensive cash."
Yeah. You make an insight check just as you kind of see the pair of them interact in various ways.
Dirty 20.
Uma's not the smartest. For a half giant, actually surprisingly well spoken. And you get the sense that that's probably because she spends time with this other individual who seems quite smart. His social skills kind of not superbly polished. And in a weird way, the two of them work pretty well together, it would seem.
Yep.
Brain
You
and
get the
brawn.
sense that these items are probably not priced in such a way for no reason.
Yeah.
Gil seems pretty clever and probably has reasoning behind it, but
Mhm.
hard to tell what it is.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'll just go back and take a seat in the booth, sort of
Okay.
resume reading and wait it out.
Time goes on, people come in and out. Nobody, especially interesting, although you do notice you're not getting a lot of stares for being a tiefling. You don't see any other tieflings come in, although you have seen others in this place.
Mhm.
But for the Kingdom of Sarentil, this is the most welcome that you felt pretty much anywhere.
Cozy.
The
booth.
hours, yeah, the hours go by. You would see the woman who is serving she leaves at a certain point, and there is a younger dwarf with kind of with blonde hair, which is kind of unusual for you. Very kind of pale blue eyes, but he takes over when she leaves. Time passes. Morwen, you're the first to wake up. Right around 7 in the morning, pretty early. You come to, you see the very young face of Gunter, a little wrinkled now because you slept on top of it.
He aged.
So yeah, closer to what you're used to.
All right. Well, I'm gonna roll it up, pack up. Actually, since I'm the first awake, I'm gonna take out the inkwell and quill, and I think I have some papers somewhere.
Yep.
And I'm going to write a quick letter to Ro. I have no idea if it's gonna get there.
Okay.
I'm just gonna be like, and I'm gonna write, "Hi, Ro. Sorry we left early. Place was apparently under attack and Gunter died. Very sad. Miss you. We'll visit soon."
Okay, first make an intelligence check.
Well, no, I'm gonna have him proofread it after. Like I'm
Okay,
trying my
okay.
best, and then I'm gonna bring it down and just be like,
So
I
if you
don't
don't want to
even think
roll,
that my,
that's totally fine.
I don't even think that my eyes would be able to decipher that.
As it begins,
right, it's not well.
as it begins to get a little bit more crowded and people begin to appear a little bit more regularly, people beginning to eat more of the soup, which you've actually noticed the ingredients have changed. Whereas before, in the previous evening, it was this kind of very hearty, rich kind of tomato-based soup. There are still these bowls coming out. Actually, you've had trenchers before, not the same as Big Sue's. These are kind of almost like bread bowls. But there does seem to be this kind of creamy, more breakfasty kind of soup, and you see elements of like a crisp pork that has been shaved off on top. It looks pretty good. But Morwen appears before anybody else, comes down holding a piece of paper with ink still wet.
Hi.
Morning.
Good morning.
How'd you sleep?
Lonely.
Mm.
Can you proofread this for me?
Okay, sure. And I'll.
It's a goddamn mess. You see Morwen in the bottom with the E the wrong way, and the rest. There are maybe some words in there, but they don't belong in the context. Like it's she did a good try. But with Morwen explaining kind of what she wants to write, you can correct it. You rewrite the letter.
Do you want me to write
Yes,
this?
please.
Okay. Who is it to?
Ro.
Okay. And we'll
Sure.
go through writing the whole thing.
You
I'll
write
read it
the
back
letter.
to him.
You read it back to him. It's strangely different than you remember writing, but Heinrich, you transcribe it, and you have no real idea how to send a letter here.
Nope.
Um,
I will fold it up once it's dry and return it to Morwen. Be like,
Okay.
here's your letter.
No, it's for Ro, not me.
I know, but I don't know how to get this to her.
Oh,
Maybe
me neither.
Aka does. Or AK, sorry. I guess he's not here, but that's what he said.
I'm gonna go up to the bar, whatever. Be
Okay.
like, hey, can I have some of that breakfast soup? And do you know? Can I send a letter? How do I send a letter?
well, it's spiced. Forgetting the word.
Hmm?
Jeez.
Goulash.
Soup.
No. Oh my god. I'm having a terrible
Bisque?
brain fart. It's a soup. I'll get you some. He goes over, grabs a bowl, and kind of ladles this heavy, kind of thick, creamy soup into it. Oh, as he returns, it's more of like a potato soup, spiced pork that's been put into it, shaved on top. Hearty, rich, not breakfast maybe, but for you it is.
Thank you.
Sure. It'll be 5 pieces of silver.
Okay. How do I send a letter?
The nearest place that you could go, the Red Shield Escorts, they do have a Raven service. They'll bring the letter out to the city limits and release the Raven. But there's a limited number of places that they can send it to.
1,000 gates.
I'm sure they could. It's within the kingdom.
Yay. What is it? Red Shield?
The Red Shield Escorts is what he said.
I'd remember where that is,
Okay.
too.
Yes.
All right.
I remember that
Thank
from
you.
Port
And I'm
Brand.
gonna bring it back and be like, the Red Shield Escorts can send it.
Oh.
By Raven.
That makes sense. Well, we'll hit that up on the way to whatever other errands we're doing this morning before we leave.
Shae, when you wake up, the city is much more crowded, people going to and from their business. The doors to this church are open. You can see a number of candles within a couple statues. Would you like to return to the party?
I think I want to sit and watch people come and go for a minute. This is a lot more activity than I'm used to at the moment.
You watch for just a little bit. You can see people coming in and out. Not a lot of people entering or exiting the church, although a couple do. It doesn't appear as if there's like a service necessarily. It seems like a place that you go and you reflect in whatever way you choose to. You can see here and there in this court of law, primarily human, more so than the rest of the places. And there are a good number of soldiers. You actually notice almost like a 1 soldier to 5 person ratio. It is a heavy amount of guard, and the tabards here are a little different. You see the Star of Sarentil, but there is this kind of sort of stylistic N that you would imagine means Nocturne. For you, not from the kingdom, doesn't mean a whole lot, but there are soldiers here, and a lot of them. To that end, you can head down and kind of head back to the group. You arrive in with Morwen eating the soup and Heinrich kind of holding a letter.
I actually have a question now that we're all together before Aka's here, if that's the case right now.
Sure.
And I'm just gonna be like, oh, good morning, Shae. Now that we're all together and I'm less cryy, I was wondering, could you tell me how Gunter died? Just right first thing in the morning. Let's go. Died.
In the middle of this
look
like
over
awkward
Shae.
pause, this dwarf comes back up. Hi, welcome to our
Too
establishment.
soon. No, I'm just kidding.
Could I interest you in some soup or perhaps a drink?
Some soup sounds nice.
All right. Do you have 5 pieces of silver? If so, I've got just the thing for you.
I'll reach into the bag.
I'm gonna watch this because I know she's not great with money, so
Okay.
I want to be able to correct her if she's
Sure.
Out comes a piece of gold and 4 pieces of silver.
He takes it and looks at the piece of gold. Thank you very much.
Wait,
That's
can
a
I
great.
intercept that? No?
If you want, yeah, you can try.
Yeah. I'm just gonna be. And then I'm gonna take the gold and bring out one of my silver, so now that it's 4 silver, right? Because that's what it was, right?
5
He
silver.
looks at you, Shae,
5.
and just kind of like points at her, like,
She doesn't know money. Thank you.
okay, well,
I give Shae the
takes the silver.
I'll
get your gold
get a
piece back.
soup as well.
Very well. 5 pieces of silver, and I guess that's it that I'm gonna get. So holds out his hands.
I'll hand him a fucking gold piece for that awkward exchange, and
He
I
takes
will
the gold piece
I will
free.
like hold it firmly and assertively and be like, yeah, like yes. And I'll look at Morwen and be like, okay, like taking back a tip. It's just.
He takes the gold piece.
He doesn't know.
I know, but he took it
True
anyway.
scum.
You got the patience of a saint. I'll bring your soup in just a minute. And then he heads back off. The 2 soups at the table. You can eat.
All right, so deliver a letter, head to this.
How did Gunter die?
I'm just gonna look at Shae.
You're not gonna tell me?
Morwen, if you want to know, do you want to know?
Yeah.
The head, the shield there, she had a shadowy warrior with her, and he...
The gain on your microphone makes the background noise louder than your voice.
Wonderful.
I know there's not much you can do.
There's nothing I can do about that. There was a shadow warrior, and he beheaded Gunter.
What's a shadow warrior?
I don't think we've ever seen anything like that.
Were they with the bear woman?
That's what she said. Yeah.
Yeah, but working for the bear woman? So the bear woman
What?
along with a shadow warrior?
I'm just gonna go back to eating.
You guys have a quiet breakfast as Morwen's question remains lingering in the air. Akka, you wake up safe within the safe house. What are you doing with the beginnings of your morning?
Well, I think I had wanted to
Oh, sorry, right.
in
Sorry.
the trance time, or like in between the trance time,
Sure.
rather.
So either early in the morning or late at night, you spread out the components, elements that create a complex web of glyphs and lines, and you place this wand that you have procured into the center of it. As you lay your hands on either side, very full metal alchemist, suddenly these lines shift to become a little bit more individualized. And you see, whereas these chalk lines were straight, they suddenly curve and become almost like brushstrokes. And as these seem to lift from the ground, they seep into the wand. And in your mind, you come away with a little bit more knowledge. This wand is, hang on 1 second, let me pull up the description. You hold in your hand what is called a Wand of Wonder. It does require attunement by a spellcaster. It has 7 charges, and while holding it, you can use an action to expend one of the charges and choose a target within 120 feet of you. It could be a creature, an object, or a point in space. You then roll a d100. There are a variety of effects that could happen. Roughly 20 or so of them. They range from casting slow on the target to turning the target's skin bright blue for 10 days. There are harmful things that range the gamut from 8th level spells to cantrips. It is a highly chaotic item. However, as you look at the identity and you go through things like fireball and casting invisibility and shrinking yourself, you recognize that there is a chaotic element to it, and being an artificer, were you to try to pull something from a very dangerous place and kind of manipulate space and time, something that has such an uncertain nature might be very helpful in that. And you would imagine that is why it was chosen for this ritual.
Okay.
But that is what you possess. And I'll send you a description later of all of the effects, which are actually, you know what? I'm not going to send you the effects.
But the things that I would know from
You know roughly some of these things that come at you from the elements as identify the brushstrokes swirl around it. You pull out, the schools of magic, and you can guess at some of the effects. There are others that really make no sense to you.
Okay.
Um,
Like
Yeah.
pink foam coming out of your mouth.
all
for
kinds of
like
weird
an hour.
things. Yeah, all kinds of weird things.
Okay. That's all I wanted to do. Then I'm gonna
Okay.
begrudgingly go back to meet up with these strange murderous people.
At about 8:30 in the morning, in the midst of your awkwardly quiet meal, the doors open and Akka does arrive.
When he sits down, I'm just gonna immediately
Big
be like,
sigh.
good morning. What's a shadow warrior?
You've
Good
heard of the Shadow
morning.
Wardens, which are Akka. All of you guys, you have like the little badges that have the names on them. I don't get that. So I didn't even see what you changed your name to until just now, Matt.
It'll help you remember.
It will. Akka. You've heard of Shade Wardens. These are the elite members of Nocturne's first and only banner. Their army that is almost 1,000 people strong in the city of 50,000. It is a massive police force that kind of edges into espionage in the rest of Sarentil. The Shade Wardens are kind of the elite guard within the city.
So kind of
They're
like
able to vanish into like a two-dimensional space. They wear these cloaks that cast a shadow across their face that clings to it so that you cannot see through it. It is an enchanted item. They're hot on the black market, are those. But they are able to create an image of themselves and kind of have it act independently from them. They are fairly strong, not the kind of people you want to mess with.
Do you mean the Shade Wardens?
No, but what's that?
And then I'm
Can
gonna
you explain all of this?
Oh, interesting. Do you know where they are? Can I meet one? I have questions.
Morwen,
You would really know
It
that you
sounds
don't
like somebody
find
don't
them; they find you.
yeah.
Oh,
For-
how does one
yeah.
find me? I'm gonna look
They
around. And like,
do when they want, and you don't want them to when they do. Do you understand?
no.
All right.
How did you survive this long in life?
I'm nice.
You think back to seeing Morwen leap over, the various brigands and just like tear
I
into
was
one of
crying
them,
the whole time.
weeping,
Felt bad. Not about that,
and
but
then
you don't know that.
looting a living person. Yeah, so nice.
Also, let him go.
All right.
I guess, relatively speaking, that's not
All right.
false.
Two
As
things
I
on
look
the
at the other two people who just murdered outright.
two things on the attempt at an organized docket for the day is
Oh yes, you're right. Morwen's miscellaneous and Red Shield escorts.
three things on the organized, semi-organized
The
docket.
Shade
Those
Warriors.
two, and this teleportation circle. I'm
What is
just
that little
sort of
thing?
like waiting. The reason why we made this our first stop.
Oh boy. Okay, so what? Why? Why?
Why? Which one?
I'm starting to. Okay.
Well, Morwen's miscellaneous used to be my store, so I'd like to go see it. And at the Red Shield, I need to a Red Shield
have
escort.
you-
I need to send a letter, and then also the
You've
Shadow
never been
Warrior.
in the
I
city.
have
How?
questions.
How? What?
It used to be in Port Quinn, and then it moved down here, apparently. and she just wants to check on it, and
Why didn't
that's
you
what we'll
say
do.
that before? Oh my gosh.
Didn't ask.
Right? Remember the thing we talked about yesterday?
Weren't lying.
Learning
Okay.
as we go. Anyways,
So you want to go look for your potentially maybe here store. Send
Yeah,
a
11
letter.
Canal Street.
Send a letter. And what was the other thing?
the reason why we came here in the first place.
That's the one.
teleportation.
Okay, good. Good.
Oh,
So
I
that's
said
still
shame board it.
on
No,
the
we're not
list.
doing that, Morwen. That will just happen
Okay.
if it happens.
Great. Well then, I guess let's head to.
Are you fed? You're good? You're ready to go? Hit the day?
Yeah, as good as I will be, it seems.
All right. And I'll
With my 1 gold coin a day.
And 3 meals, of which you've just finished one.
end the 12 days paid in advance.
And the platinum.
And the platinum, don't forget.
Technically, you've paid 22 days in advance now.
Yeah, with the platinum.
Oh, did I
That-
get
I'll
platinum?
mention that too. Yeah, dude, I gave
Last
you a
session,
fucking
you got a
platinum.
piece of platinum, which was 10 days.
Yeah, which is why I'm wondering why you're still being so rude about it.
Yeah,
And then Heinrich gave you 12 gold last night, which is another 12 days.
Yeah.
You're giving me like
You're covered.
So much more money than you asked for.
yeah, exactly. But
significantly
you're
more.
covered for a while and you're fine. It was a
Yeah.
peace offering.
okay.
So we're good, right? We can get going.
I mean, wherever you want to go, I'll
Just
lead
these
the
2
way.
errands and then away from here towards the goal.
Oh, but I
Great.
thought there was some fun to be had here.
Well, there's always
No,
fun
you're
to be
right.
had
It's
if you
different
look in the
now.
right places.
It's different now, and I'm just gonna weep a little bit because, ugh, no more fun.
She could use some
Just
cheering up, so
errands.
we'll find something on the way. It's
Just
fine.
chores.
The day
Find
the
something-
fun
I'll
died.
get you a lollipop from a street vendor. Will that cheer you up?
No. I want a gamble.
No, I want a gamble.
Yeah, just like a
gamble.
toddler.
I want
wanna
petty
commit
theft. Okay.
And leave in a hurry.
All right.
Oh, but we're just gonna casually leave like no big deal. It's fine.
Well, we can leave in a hurry if it makes you feel better, Morwen.
Quick,
I
we
wanna
have
leave
to
this
go
place
get
in a
the
hurry.
letter there now before.
Oh, adventure.
Ah,
Okay, I leave.
And I look over
I'm
at
out
Shae.
the
I'm like,
door.
Morwen's gone. The door swinging behind her.
I think I'm getting the hang of this, Shae.
She doesn't know where she's going.
She's 6 or 5 years old or something. Just
I mean, since I started counting, yeah.
Why do you have a child?
You're not there anymore.
it's. I haven't asked why she's a child with us. I just kind of go along with it, like I said. So, yep, and I'm gonna stand up and just sort of make sure Morwen doesn't get too far ahead.
Okay. So Heinrich is out the door. Shae, are you leaving as well?
I would like look at Aqua one more time and be like, it's best probably just to not ask questions at the moment.
That's
Follow.
right.
Shae leaves. Akka, you, the only person that knows where you're going, are the last out the door.
Hey, I know where
Very
the red shields thing is. I remember
true.
that.
So, Heinrich, are you leading the group to the Red Shield escort?
Well, leading Morwen, more or less,
Okay.
in a mock hurried manner.
Sure. So, you guys speed walk your way back. You've been now past the Red Shield place 5 times, and so it's
Sick.
easy enough for you to find.
Yeah.
So you make your way to the Red Shield escort service. This is a little bit different than the one that you've been to. The last place that you went to is this wooden open compound. This, you have to go through like a long tunnel of corrugated iron. You go past several abodes, people kind of looking at you curiously. But you make your way to a small kind of office. It's like all at once, you're walking down this corridor. It's almost like a long hallway. And then suddenly a desk, table, chairs, you see somebody wearing the Red Shield sign kind of across this leather armor.
Now, this is going way back, but I did repaint my shield to not look like Red Shield.
Mhm.
Okay, Just
Yeah.
making sure that was still established. So.
Yep, it doesn't look great, but you did paint it. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you go up. You can see sitting at this table with a long kind of like a parchment scroll and various things written on it. You can see, and it's probably a Colcheron dwarf, actually. You can see kind of black hair, big kind of thick beard that looks a little bit kind of frayed, not as if it was braided several days ago and probably needs to be redone soon.
Mhm.
But he looks up at you. Welcome. So, can I get you something? Are you traveling somewhere? Do you need protection?
They're
No,
trying to
what's the
send a
matter?
letter.
Very easy to do. Where to?
1,000 gates.
Couldn't do that. Just a single message.
Yeah.
3 gold pieces will get you a raven to 1,000 gates. Almost assuredly, we'll get there.
Okay. Don't you need to know, like, to who?
No, it's going to the presumably they are waiting for your letter.
No.
How do you intend to get it to them?
I thought I'd just put her name on it and it'd find its way.
Send it to what was the name of the restaurant that I saw? Rowan
In
before?
1,000
This
gates?
is the only that's the only firm
Berglotto's-
establishment.
Berglotto's
that we know where we
Outpost.
saw her before. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll send it there.
Okay.
And I'm sure the bartender will know. They seemed chummy enough.
Okay.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna fold it up and I'm gonna think about putting Rhodesia on it and then be like, will you put Rhodesia on it?
I'll just write row and then oh goodness. And then I'll just draw a cat face.
Okay. You kind of on the ink and let it dry. You roll it up in a scroll and he takes it from you. And who's going to be paying?
Oh, I just did. Or me.
Okay. Takes your 3 gold. You can mark off 3 gold pieces. He nods to you, and you guys are all set. That message will be mailed later today.
Thank you for helping us out here. And then good
And
to
I'll
go.
have no idea if it ever gets to her, because if she writes back, I won't be here. Thank you.
And you exit back into the Quarter of Law. Are you guys now heading to the Avenue of Everdusk?
I would start leading them towards, presumably. Okay. Well, yeah, because that's also where Morwen's miscellaneous most likely would be.
That's what they've claimed.
Specific address.
Yeah.
You make your way through, and as you do, it gets quieter. You travel across these hallways, and the kind of hubbub of the city dies down. There are still people here and there, but you notice the expression on people changes. Before, in all of these places, it's been open. There have been cheerful voices, angry voices. There's been arguing. There have been animals. But this is the first place where people aren't kind of like watching you as you pass. It's almost as if they're actively looking away. And there is a fear amongst the population here, a timidness, maybe more than fear.
As we're getting towards there, I'd just be like, okay, so keep your heads down and fight your urge to be the strangest people I've ever met. Because these people will kill you.
And it is, you get to an area as you go through the corridors, and it gets a little bit wider here. You can see the rectangular corridor has been bent into an arched dome, and through it, you can see the light abruptly changes, because beyond, there is soft, dappled, mottled light of reds and pinks and yellows, and they softly kind of seem to move, and looking up, you can see these paper lanterns in a slight breeze just kind of ruffling through. There's a long stretch of hallway in front of you that is quite tall, similar to the Madrak, except there is no walls. You don't see any soldiers here. Instead, from where the walls are, you can see sloping off of them these kind of clay tiled roofs. You see there are gutters that run along each side of the streets, very narrow. There are people here, although it is much quieter, they are much sparser. People move in a fairly hurried manner, directly to and from places. There is not a lot of lingering about. You can see as you walk by the first building that you would cross. There is no signs to most of these buildings, but you pass Aka, what you know as the Black Mark, which is basically where you would go to hire a hitman. You pass a number of abodes, and then you would remember, Aka, the last time that you were here, there was a store called Eric's Black Market. Huh?
Is it gone?
Sort of. The stone walls still remain at the bottom, and you can see the painted white wooden walls of the second and third levels still remain. However, the large glass windows with the intricate moldings are now painted over black from the inside, and the sign on top no longer reads Eric's Black Market Shop. It reads Morwen's Miscellaneous.
Huh. What do you know? Eric must have sold the place.
I'll just nudge Morwen and point.
What?
You see your name.
Thing.
Or
Yeah.
Cool. I'm going in.
Okay. You walk in through the closed door. So you open this black wooden door. It opens. And stepping in, you step into a very small room. There's a single wooden table. There's a single wooden seat. And then on the opposite side of the seat, you see, just 1 second here, a tiefling, very well groomed. You see tan skin with a vague purple cast to it. His horns curve straight back over his head and then up into 2 points that nearly touch near the top of his head. Hair black, a little bit of a goatee, but very well groomed. His hands folded on the table. Looks across it. If you wouldn't mind, only one at a time.
Oh, I wasn't gonna go in. I was gonna stand guard outside.
Okay, you stand guard outside.
Yeah, I wouldn't have gone in because I would have known.
This doesn't
Stand
look
guard
like an
outside.
issue. All right.
All right, Morwen, you're the only one that enters. So, retconning that, as you walk in, this tiefling looks at you. Welcome to Morwen's Miscellaneous. What are you looking for today?
Hi, is Ezra here?
I'm sorry, I do not know the name, but I am Astrani, and I am here to be of service to you.
Oh, hi.
You've come
I'm
to this
Morwen.
place. Huh, very nice. Do you have a card?
Yeah. And I pull out the letter that Ezra sent me.
Looks at it. Not quite what I had in mind. If you mean to shop here, you should have a card from Morwen's Miscellaneous. It is the membership of sorts. So.
Oh, okay. So I pull out the other piece of paper that has Morwen's address, like the.
Okay. You pull out that little thing, and he looks at it. You should have shown it first, but no matter. I have not seen you here before. Are you relatively new, or somebody who's been here previously under the old ownership?
I haven't been to this establishment, but I was. Wait, what? Who's the owner?
Well, if you're asking, then you are probably not in a position to know that, but ownership changed about 3 weeks ago.
Oh, who is the old owner?
You're asking a lot of questions. This is
Yeah, I used to own this place.
Lovely. This is a shop, and we specialize in things that are very hard to get throughout the rest of the kingdom. So, what are you looking for?
Oh, what you got?
He looks at you. Make a persuasion check, as you are an interesting individual to this.
I'm like, your friend might die in there.
Ooh, I'm gonna Panache. Let's be buddies.
Okay, sure.
But even still, it's a 22.
Okay. He leans back and kind of looks you up and down. I might have something in your price range. Just a moment. And he stands up and walks through the door that's in the back, shuts, and you hear it lock. A minute goes by, and you hear it unlock, and the door swings open, and he walks out holding something that looks like a giant chess piece wrapped in cloth. He sets it on the table, takes the cloth away. Standing in front of you is a large pepper mill. Wooden, kind of fine grain with a top that turns and a part that probably disperses pepper at the bottom. He smiles. This is a pepper mill of truth. Placing food within it will allow you to grind it, and if salt emerges, it is not poisonous. If pepper should come out, whatever item you had ground was intended to harm you.
Oh, that's fun. What else?
Respectfully, this is probably where your funds end. Things beyond this tend to stretch into the 3, 4, 5 digit marks, and so outside of this, maybe we have one more thing for you. Just a moment. And
Okay.
takes the mill, wraps it up, disappears to the door. Lock, disappears. Unlock. He returns with a bottle. You can see it is a potion, perhaps. The liquid in it is a murky gray, but even as he turns it, it suddenly shifts into red, and then blue, and then green, and then back to gray. This is a potion of polymorph. You could take it yourself or give it to someone unsuspecting. But this will cast the polymorph spell upon the drinker.
What's that?
You will turn into an animal.
Not sure that's needed.
You are not an animal, you are a tabaxi. You are no more an
Yeah.
animal than I am.
No, not everyone sees it that way, but thank you.
Well, would you like either of these items?
No.
Well, it would seem our business is concluded, so of course, feel free to visit again.
Does the stuff change often? Your stock, your inventory?
It does. But again, most of our items are high end, and without the appropriate means, it would be respectfully a waste of time. So the lower end stuff doesn't change too often. We've had this for quite some time.
I'm confused. Why does everyone think I'm poor?
Because you give them no reason to think otherwise.
Well,
I'm straight up
if
asking.
we're-
I'm like, what about me seems poor?
Oh,
I'm
you're
just
asking it.
wondering.
Okay.
Like,
if we're being frank, you have not come in with an item that you desire or any real sense of, I guess, purpose. And typically, if you aren't seeking something in
That's
particular
fair.
and you come to such a dangerous place as the Avenue of Everdusk, I would imagine you don't have much to lose.
oh, is this a dangerous place? I thought it seemed kind of fun.
You're not from around here, are you?
Nope.
Let's just say this is a place where the law does not quite take hold. And so the items that we can offer here run the gamut from magical shields to books that change you forever. For those who can afford it.
Interesting. So, can I ask a question that might seem a little how do I say it? Inappropriate for more non-magical areas?
I've already shown you some magic, so yes, please.
Yeah. Does anyone around here know how to bring someone back from the dead? I'm just wondering.
I'm sure. I am not a practitioner of magic myself, but if you were to go down a little ways, you know, it's so funny, my memory, it seems just to be failing me at the moment. Perhaps a sale would help, or
I'll slide it like, I don't know, 10 gold pieces.
he puts his hand on it and slides it back. But
Here,
You
I
know.
got some stuff. Give me 1 second. Here, you guys chat outside or something.
So,
Yeah, go for it.
usually people don't just wander into places on the Avenue of Everdusk, you know, like she just did. Do you want to set
sure.
like an upper time limit before one of you goes in to get her? So that
Usually, let's see, shopping. I think that falls
not
into
to ask questions or anything, but
that falls into the 5 to 10 minute range.
It's been about 10 minutes at this point.
10 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not
You
as
know.
familiar with Morwen's shopping habits, to be honest.
Ooh, sorry.
It's usually a quick in and out of like, oh, here, let me sell you all of these things. Do you have anything? Oh, that's too expensive. I'm leaving. So I think around now is when we should probably start to maybe go in and intercede.
All eyes look to the door, and Morwen's not emerging.
well,
Okay,
she's,
I'm gonna just go in,
Okay.
presumably around the time that you're doing whatever this is that you're about to do.
You walk in, you can see this individual. He looks bemused and perhaps just the beginnings of annoyance. Morwen's rifling through her bag.
Just at the right time.
Hello, I'm currently with a client. If you could wait on the outside, it would be greatly appreciated.
Morwen, are you done here?
Ugh. Ugh.
You can see he looks you up and down, Heinrich. You can see his eyes drawn to the armor and the cloak. Well, typically we do only allow one person, but your friend was looking to make a purchase and seems to be a bit short on funds. Perhaps you might be able to aid her in whatever it is she's looking to acquire.
What did you get yourself into, Morwen?
No, I just want to know. Anyone who
I'm
might
gonna
know
I'm gonna close the door before the voices spill out too much.
Okay.
information.
Shut up.
I'll
on
stand respectfully out of the way near the door too. Are you still
Um,
trying to bring him back?
No, I'm just wondering if one were to do such a thing. I don't know what you mean, but I mean, bring someone back from the dead, hypothetically.
Is there a
How would
place
someone
that
do
you
it?
know of? I'm gonna just sort of cut through it right to him. This place seems, wonderfully cloaked and veiled and whatnot.
in a way.
This place seems like it also would have someone who might know about that. Would you know about that?
Well, in terms of bringing the dead back, which is what your friend was asking about, there are people who could probably do such a thing. It is taboo, even within our ranks, and so it would be an expensive process, I would imagine. As I told your friend, my memory, it often fails me, and so without the proper compensation, I don't know that I would be able to retrieve such a memory. But I'm sure you could find someone.
Let me just quickly. Did you find anything you wanted to give him?
Yeah. How do you feel about the stiletto dagger to administer poison with a vial of poison?
You pull out this dagger, this long, thin dagger. He looks at it and doesn't even really move towards it. That is, again, regrettably, just not of a class suited for this establishment, but
How about this? And I bring out a kind scale.
he looks at it with a little bit of interest. I don't really work in raw materials, but I'm sure others would have an interest in that.
Seems like a dead end, Morwen. I don't have anything, honestly, that would be worth it.
Turns
I got stuff,
to
but
you
I don't want
again,
to give them
Heinrich.
up.
Again, it seems as if your friend is interested in the dead, and we do have one of our more middle line items, so perhaps outside of your friend's spending limit, but let's see. You wouldn't happen to have 40,000 gold pieces on you?
Not on me, no. And I just kind of message tomorrow and be like, all right, let's fucking leave. Without making any,
All right,
motion to do
out
so.
loud say, okay. So, just out of curiosity, wait, how long has this place been here?
This building or this
Store.
Morwen's miscellaneous? Going back maybe 30 years or so, something of that nature.
I'm confused.
Coincidence, then.
We've noticed this. But if you don't have the money, that's fine. The Jar of Souls will, I'm sure, find another owner in due time.
Certainly, probably. And I'll kind of like open the door to Morwen and be like, okay, let's.
Ooh, I might be back for souls. All right, bye. And then I'm just gonna be like, yo, let's get those souls.
Yeah.
Heinrich, are
that
you the
would
last
be-
person out?
Yeah, I'm sure I would be. Does he try to grab my attention?
As Morwen leaves, you would kind of hear him go, "Just a moment." Tiefling to tiefling.
Close the door, turn around. Yeah.
No offense to your friend, but there is really no place for squalor here. You seem to be somebody of a bit more of a impressive station in life. There are a number of things that I think you would really enjoy. You seem to be outfitted to come into contact with things perhaps not even as safe as the things that we find ourselves right alongside day to day. Your friend did mention bringing somebody back from the dead. I do not know quite how this item works, but we do have a jar that can ensnare the soul of a creature, perhaps useful to you.
Right. This is the 40,000 thing that you said before, correct?
Yes, not one of the most expensive items, but something that I'm sure you could afford. We have other things that are cheaper and more expensive, of course, but if there were things in particular you were looking for, he kind of looks you up and down. You are a user of shields, I see. We do have magical shields. We have a plethora of things.
Sure.
Morwen's Miscellaneous does have an extensive stock and only the finest items.
Do you have a card? Membership card or something, I take it? I know,
We
she's not in
do.
here, so don't. Yeah.
And with that first purchase, it is available to you for free.
Interesting. Noted, and thank you. I do have some matters to attend to, notably this one that is now unattended outside in the street by herself. Kind of like a nod to him.
Well, it is unfortunate that we couldn't come to a deal. Our things do exit the store pretty quickly, but should you change your mind, there are many wonders to be discovered here.
I sense that. I appreciate the information. Thank you. And I'll try to not be rude as I'm like, and again, I do need to look after the one now standing in the street unattended.
Of course. We hope to see you at Morwen's Miscellaneous again soon.
As do I.
He gives you just a shallow bow.
Return and exit.
Okay, no problem. You all now are on.
Thaumaturgy, what a crock! Just kidding. All right. Okay, well, that's 2 things out of the 3 off the list, and now we can move on to the most important one.
Wait.
The teleportation circle.
Yeah, Calico Amir.
If that's the name of this teleportation circle.
Oh, maybe.
I'm gonna just
AK, lead away.
You can call me Akka now.
Okay, Akka.
Okay.
I don't think we've.
No, it's AK. Sorry.
I have my friends call me that.
Perfect. All right, Akka. On we go. You seem uncomfortable here, then let's leave.
I'm just trying to take in that Morwen's Miscellaneous is an actual place that exists now, and you are the owner of it.
I was. And then I gave it to
Got
somebody.
your name
They
on it.
moved it here.
And
And
for
now
what
they
it's-
claim it's been here for 30 years. And I don't know who owns it now, so I'm confused.
And Akka, Eric's has been there for about 3 decades. And you would remember, if this is indeed like roughly the same place, this place, you've acquired items for and from this dealer, maybe not necessarily this place.
Right.
There are, artifacts that come through here. This is, and almost all of it's stolen. But
I'm just
this is
taking all
some
this
nice stuff.
in, like it gets weirder and weirder with these people.
Actually, you know what? You are aware of some of the items that are here just because of the nature of what you do. You know that this is the last known location of 2 pretty interesting things to the Dungannon Antiquities Collective. You know that the Manual of Gainful Exercise, which has been tracked across several centuries, has been located to this position and should be ready to be utilized again within the last year or so. You also know that the Marble Mansion of Masseldar is here. It's something that Mr. Gray especially has been really focused on trying to find, as it would aid him in his field travels. It's from what you know about it, it supposedly can create an interdimensional mansion that can kind of travel with you.
And that's for Mr. Gray, you said?
Yes, would be something very interesting to him, just in terms of the way that he would like to travel.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just taking all this in. Weird people.
We can
A
do
gold
it
a
on the
day, and they own us. They own what is ostensibly like the black market hub.
Outside of the Jade Exchange, but this is the
Right.
only thing that like most people could walk into.
Right. Just taking it all in. Wow.
Wow. Wow.
Wow. And a gold a day. These fucking scum people. Severely underpaying.
Sure.
Teleportation circle?
Although, yeah, let's get this over with.
So where are you gonna go, Akka, to try to figure out this teleportation circle? Very close by, there is the Soul Exchange. I mean, it's
Well, I would
essentially
know the Sojourners, right?
yes.
the location.
However, so you know that exists. The other thing about make an intelligence check, just flat intelligence check. We'll see how much you know about it.
Okay. That is a 17.
Okay. Like most of the Sojourn Network places, it is a relatively hard to access place. It is one of the older parts of the city, and over the course of time, as this is a coastal city, the weight of the walls and the many, many layered structures has caused the lower levels to sink into the ground over time. Many of those levels are abandoned
So
or
it's in one of
otherwise
the danger
habited.
levels.
You would know about 3 layers deep into the darkened district beneath the quarter of law. There is a single room amongst one of the hallways where a blue metal door with a bank-like vault handle would lead you to the Sojourn Network there. Have you used the Sojourn Network before?
Presumably, if that's
Okay.
a method to get to and from Dungannon from here.
So you know, although you do not know why, or really what the answer to many of these prompts are, that when you first enter, you're asked a number of questions. Are you, and they are always the exact same questions, and they're always asked, and you can ask other questions to this person. They will not give you a single sentence back aside from the prompt until you answer each of these questions. There are not correct questions, but correct answers, but from what you can discern, answering some of them in certain ways may or may not unlock certain destinations for you.
Okay.
But there are some that are very strange, such as the second to last prompt is just a string of numbers that they read to you. There's a couple ones that are kind of strange.
Okay. But other than going down there, the only known teleportation circle that would be on the Avenue of Everdusk is probably at the Jade Exchange.
The Jade Exchange certainly has one, although you do not have access to the Jade Exchange. You would know that in the Avenue of Everdusk, you could almost certainly assume that there is one in the Black Mark building. There's probably one, or there's definitely one in the Soul Exchange. Rumored to have one in the Spirit Monastery. Willowmere's Wand Emporium probably doesn't have one, although he would probably know how to access them. The Jade Tea Shop is a pipe leaf tincture cafe, so probably not. Those would be the ones that you could maybe assume with your knowledge.
I would probably start heading towards the safest, given the volatile nature of this group,
Okay.
and most likely to actually be able to be used for this group teleportation circle that I know of. With money not being an object, because I feel like they're all holding out on me and they're actually super rich.
So if money
It's
isn't
like
an
a
object,
shop owner.
that's the Sojourn Network, because that's expensive, but it will
Yeah.
get you where you need to go reliably, safely, and quickly. And
Okay.
you will emerge in a secure location.
So I would probably be like, so
Yeah,
there are
it's-
places around here.
You would know that your passage will not be disclosed. It's not something that can be tracked because the particular the locations, part of why they're so far away, is they are both magically and mundanely masked from other ways of kind of looking into what's happening. So these are very secretive, very secure ways of traveling.
I would probably tell the group, like, if you want to go secure and efficient, we'd have to go to a different part of the city. But if you want to go shady and potentially less successfully, there are some options here.
Well, it doesn't
And I
seem
lay
like
those
much
out.
choice if
The
you
specific options. There is a guy named Calico Amir, and though you don't know a ton about him, he is this weird fortune teller kind of guy who never really shows his face and is in this kind of smoky basement and will read your fortune and will scry for people for a price. Perhaps has the ability to teleport people. You would also know and lay out that there is the Soul Exchange, which is bonded magic users. And that essentially is indentured servitude to a degree. There are elements that you have heard, Aka, that there is some brainwashing perhaps involved. Not terribly ethical, but you could perhaps buy a spellcaster.
Probably would heavily imply that we shouldn't go to that one. But also, like, knowing these people, maybe that's their jam.
Mhm.
So, take your pick.
Wait, also, wasn't my boat supposed to be here?
We didn't see it when we were there before. But we didn't ask anyone.
You have a ship.
They probably
Two.
left before we got here, Morwen. That was many days ago.
Oh boy. This is what's wrong with the world these days.
But yeah, I
Owning
have
ships
I
and
have a
shops,
ship.
and I get a gold piece a day.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
100%.
maybe a quick detour. I can send Nod out to look while you ask around.
For the boat?
Sure. I mean, it would be free, essentially, if it's still yours.
Thought we came for the. No,
Or
not gonna ask
Weighing
questions.
Weighing options.
Well,
I'm done
okay,
asking
here's the thing,
questions, just-
if we can find the boat, if it's not difficult to track it or anything like that, would we prefer to take it?
It will take longer.
It'll
Much
take longer,
longer.
but maybe
Significantly.
significantly cheaper. And
I
also,
don't
I don't.
underst-
They've been there before. That's where they dropped us off the first time.
Let's do
so
this
why
safe.
not just do it again?
Let's do this safe and secure.
You guys mind just turning it right back around and
course.
heading to the polar
You
opposite
guys
direction?
mind just doing it exactly all over again? Just but you don't have to wait 2 months in the cold, like deserted village.
Also, sorry about that.
Safe and secure path.
Oh
please.
boy. I'm gonna start to walk down towards the lower levels, which, as far as I know, are pretty getting into like danger territory.
You're entering into places where there are urban legends about beasts that stalk the halls and, ghosts and rattling
Creepy abandoned
chains,
lower levels.
giant crocodiles. Yeah, all kinds of crazy stuff.
It's like,
Um,
okay.
Well, wait. Are we even able to afford transportation circle? Like, how much money are we talking here?
You would know it is 300 gold pieces a person, I believe.
It's like for the 4 of us, a little more than 1,000 gold.
Sorry, I'm 100% wrong. For you guys, to the places that you have access to, would be a lot closer to 1,000 gold pieces each.
So like 4,000 gold or so, probably. Somewhere around there.
It's a lot of.
Is that going to be a problem?
I mean, are you able to afford that on your own?
I mean, maybe I would if I didn't have people trying to get me to do things for a gold piece a day.
That's 1,000 days of work for you.
This is current
Well,
contractual
let's just
obligation.
start working that off. No, I'm just kidding.
Why don't I just start walking then?
All right. What about the other more affordable options?
The cheapest one would probably be the shadiest one. And
Naturally.
it would probably, inverse proportions of shady and cheap.
Let's also put this into a different perspective.
guess
There's a lot of
this would
gambling
be
around here. I know a thing or two
parallel.
about swindling. Maybe we could win the money.
You think back to Gunter's last acts. Very similar.
So
Just saying.
So it makes them get rich quick right now?
Couldn't hurt to try.
So you had me come and take you to the city to get to a teleporter that you can't afford.
I didn't know how much it was.
Adventures in Alberon.
Do you
someday.
not
No, all the ones we
do you
did
not know
were
how much
free.
teleporting costs?
No, we've never been charged.
It's true.
Oh my gosh, the lives of the rich.
Wouldn't know.
Lifestyles of the no, just
Wouldn't
kidding.
know. I'm sure you'd be impressed by my upbringing, I suppose. Look,
Oh yeah.
maybe the boat is the best option to check for it at least.
So now we're gonna be taking a ship all the way north.
Now I'm ignoring Akka and looking at Morwen. Do you want
Cool
to check to
pattern
see
to
if your
emerge.
boat was here?
Yeah, sure.
A ship that might not even be here.
Yeah, that's only across town. It's a short jaunt away.
Yeah, we did it 3 times the other night. Here, you just sit down. We'll come get you when we're done.
Why did you even hire me?
I didn't.
Put up a stink or don't. That's where we're
Come
heading
on,
right
where's
now.
your sense of adventure? Pat him on the back.
I don't know, probably at one of the multiple stops that we've made along the way.
Well, Ed, go find it and meet back up with us with some adventure.
To the docks or not? No? Yeah? Are we
Yeah.
Okay, let's fucking walk.
Okay.
Ah!
You make
Well,
your
Shae,
way.
do you have an opinion on this?
I think the boat will take too long, to be honest.
Do we have enough to afford the faster means of travel?
For what it's worth, Calico Amir is also by the docks within the 3 dot accord zone. So you could look for the boat and check that particular lead out at once.
Which
If you
would be
want.
cheaper.
Let's do it.
Cheaper, less secure, more shady.
Right, but affordable to us.
More, there's actually a saying amongst the Mud Brotherhood. Within smuggling and piracy, there are 3 things that you can do, and you can really only do 2 of them at once. You can get things cheap, quick, or good, and you can't do all 3 at once. So you can get them. You can get somewhere quick, and you can get somewhere cheap, but it's probably not going to be a great experience. It kind of flows in that direction. So you really probably need to pick 2 of those. It seems as if you could take a very expensive, very safe way. You'll get somewhere quickly, and it will be very expensive. You could go and investigate this individual, this Calico Amir. That's kind of a question mark at this point. You could go and get these bonded sorcerer people. That is quite quick and quite expensive. It is very not good. There are these options.
You're leaving it to me?
We're walking to the docks.
Okay.
I'm just trying to move it. Literally couldn't afford the other one unless Aka pays up, which I know he won't.
Or if we get
Sorry,
Or
do
we
you want me to
cash,
give you back the
we
12
trade.
gold? We'll only be like 1% of the way.
There could
for
also be a
one of
potential
us.
trade or something.
Mhm.
It doesn't
Sure.
there's ways around it.
Sure, but let's at least move towards one. So that's where I'm voting at least. This person by the dock and the dock for the sake of it.
Okay.
Since no one else is moving anything forward, that's what I'm doing.
Okay. You and Morwen begin to head off in that direction as you do know where it is.
Mhm.
Shae?
Like,
Take like a deep breath and then follow.
Okay.
how do you live with this?
I don't know.
You ask.
I'm so baffled how the three of you have survived thus far in this world.
Never
You
needed
don't
to
know
pay
the
for
economy. You
teleportation.
don't have to
That's
pay.
the easiest part of it. Alright. Are we there yet?
Aka, are you following?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, oh god.
So, Morwen and Heinrich head off. Shae, you take a deep breath and follow. Aka, you take the deepest breath imaginable. And cursing your fates, you follow as well in the city that you know best. But because it is 12:15, as you guys head towards the three-tided accord, this is where we're going to end for the evening. So, thank you guys very much for joining in and following along in this adventure, and for following us back and forth across Nocturne. Are we all here next week? All right, so we'll be back next week for session 68 of Adventures in Alberon. But until then, please stay safe out there. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.